Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Constellation, your weekly conversational podcast here at Last Stand. I am not Dagan Moriarty. I am Dustin from Sacred Symbols, and Dagan's not available today to host the show, but the ship keeps on going. We can't be stopped. I'm here with two great guests, and surely the only time this combination has existed. I know we've done a show with a permutation, maybe with another person.
Right.
The three of us should be kind of interesting. So starting off, we're here with David Jaffe. What's up, Jaffe? I feel like it's been forever since we've been on a show together.
Probably the live show was probably the last time, really, honestly, I think.
Even there for that. So that's crazy.
Oh, well, there. You were missed, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. All you white people look alike to me. I don't know what to say.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, things are good. Coming off Steam Next Fest, so playing a lot of demos still, even though they've taken them down. I know where they hide on my PC. So I've been enjoying the crap out of some of those, and just, all just sailing along, man. Have you played Ball Pit, the game Ball Pit from Devolver?
I've heard of that. Like, I saw it on Twitter or something. Is it good?
It's so good. And the worst thing they could have done, and I'm not taking a swipe at what is the game you guys have? Ball Breaker or something? Like, I don't like ball breakers. They're too
Brick Breakers.
Brick Breaker, yeah. They're like Arachnoid or Breakout. They're way too, the minute, or Pong even, the minute you miss it, you're like fucked, right? So I've never, the worst thing Devolver could have done is call this a Brick Breaker, because I stayed away from it. But I finally was like, okay, let me try it. And they made their entire Summer Games Fest, usually there's like 6 games. It was just this game. It's like, what the fuck are they doing? And my goodness, it is not. Don't let people, when they say it's a Brick Breaker, it's got elements of that, but it's not like you miss the ball and it's over. It is the next Balatro. It is the next Vampire Survivors. It is so good.
Oh wow!
It is so addictive. It runs so deep in regards to the moment to moment gameplay, and there's so many things to think about as you're playing to get better at it. It's real smart. It's real good. I highly recommend it. So, yeah, it's Ball Pit. I think the demo might still be up, actually. So on Steam.
Yeah, I'm seeing that it's up right now. We are recording on Friday, and the show will be out Monday. So I don't know about Monday, but
I think that game, when I made a video about it, and the developer reached out and they said, because in the video I'm like, I don't know if they're going to take it down after Next Fest, and they said no, we're keeping it up, because it comes out on July 31st. So, and I know it's coming to console. I don't know if it's launching on console. Maybe there's demos on console. I have no idea, but it is on Steam, and that's where I played it. So, yeah.
Sounds like a good Steam Deck game.
I wouldn't know, because I'm old with bad eyes. Like, I don't like handhelds for that reason. And so it is a game where it's actually kind of interesting, unless they let you take the Steam Deck and flip it, and you're playing it vertically, like a shoot 'em up. I'm sure it would work fine on Steam Deck. I think somebody told me it does, but it is a game that plays really with the vertical canvas size, and you have a lot of wasted left and right screen space. So
interesting.
Who knows? But it's delightful. It's a great toy. Yeah.
Cool things about Switch 2 is that the way the kickstand works is that you can actually prop it up vertically. So
okay.
I'm sure there's more games that do this, but I don't know if you remember a game called Downwell from years ago, at least probably 5 years ago or more.
Yeah.
It has a mode where you can play it vertically, and if you have a Switch 2, you can prop it up super easy.
Oh, that's cool.
And play it. It's pretty neat, but I don't know if it is still handheld, so maybe your eyes,
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if they'll let you do that. And again, I mean, I'm sure they've thought, they know Steam Deck's the way a lot of people play, but however you play it, give it a look if you're interested in such malarkey. It's good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So also joining us, Chris and I here we're on a show together for 5 hours yesterday. Yeah. And here we are back again. And Chris, before we get started with you, I want to show you something. My mom just made this.
Oh, that's crazy. Is that real stained? That's stained glass?
This is stained glass. For the audio listeners, she made a stained glass Sacred Symbols logo. Dude, it fucking pisses me off. She picked up making stained glass like 2 months ago. She just picked it up. She's like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to start doing stained glass. And now we have this. I'm like, dude. So
that's crazy.
We had a guy that made some stained glass Sacred Symbols logo years ago. I never got one. I know a lot of I think he maybe did like 10 or 15 of them. And then he disappeared forever. So I don't know what's going on with that guy. Maybe she'll make some of these to sell in our store. But Chris, how have you been since I last saw you? 12 hours ago, less? I don't know.
It feels like it.
A little more than 12, I guess.
Yeah, not much new to say. I mean, it's sad that Dagan's not here. You know, it's tragic what happened.
Oh yeah,
you know, he got sucked into that printing press, and now he's down for the count for the next God knows how long. But it's good to be here. You know, I woke up really tired today, so I'm waiting for my coffee to kick in.
Right.
And I think I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling like that because I had no food, by the way. I haven't eaten at all. Shit. So it's just pure coffee. And I don't think that it's probably counterintuitive in some way. It'll probably make me more tired.
Your stomach loves it when you do that. Pure acid water.
Pure acid water and caffeine.
Yep.
It's just drugs basically in my system. So I'm drugged out right now.
Good. Yeah. Now, you joke about Dagan with the a printing press accident. A friend of mine works. It's not a printing press, but he does different materials for businesses. So they do print stuff.
Yeah.
He's told me some wild shit, like people getting, I guess the term is degloved.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you just basically get your skin completely ripped off. I just I don't know if it's worth it. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't seem.
Well, I don't know. Okay, well, do you? Well, first off, printing press. I don't think you're going to get degloved in a printing press, right? I think maybe a concrete. So a printing press is get the X and the Y and we're making newspapers, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how do you get trapped in a printing press?
There's spinning mechanisms and gears and cogs and whatnot. Look, the issue is you can get degloved doing surprisingly menial shit, especially if you have rings.
Oh, I saw Final Destination Bloodlines a couple days ago. Did you see that movie?
No, I want to. I meant to see it a couple weeks ago.
It's great. First off, it's great. It is great. And it is I'm very when I know this sounds dumb, but when I say how well directed it is, it feels like this is going to be so dumb. I'm not trying to say it's a Spielberg quality movie. I'm not trying to say it's a classic. That's not what I'm saying. But there's to kind of quote Hamilton, there's a mind at work behind the camera. It's two guys directing it. And it doesn't just feel like some schlock B-level directors that the studio's get these guys in, let's just make this and churn it out. It's really a really well-directed movie, and it's really good. But there is a de-skinning or de-gloving in there with a ring, and you're just oh my God, it's so delightfully gross. It's wonderful. But, whatever. That's me interrupting. My Ritalin hasn't kicked in yet.
You're I just feel like I remember hearing people stories of people getting degloved and the jobs that they were working were surprising to me. It was surprising to me that it's how could that happen at a Burger King? What are you doing? One that I remember was the milkshake. There's a milkshake. I don't even know, a blender or something. And some girl's hair got caught in it and it just ripped all of her hair out. Oh, and it's just yo, that's crazy. That's why you wear hairnets, I guess. But bro,
number 13.
Yeah. Number
milkshake.
Scalping. Scalp fingers.
But look, I think there's a Twitter site account. Have you heard of Zach D Films on Twitter?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I watched the shit out of that.
Guy, he sounds like Jack's Films a little bit, so I'm convinced it's him.
It might be. I haven't heard of Jack's Films in a long time, but yeah.
I think those videos are crazy. It's The animations that go along with it are insane.
And I wonder how long it takes them to make one because they're real simple. Like you'd think it takes a day. They put them up all the time, but it's just all these weird what if scenarios. Like what happens when a bullet, like how much muscle do you need? And these are like 20-second clips. So perfect for ADD people like me. And it's like, how much muscle, how much pec muscle would you need to stop a bullet from hitting your internal organs? And it's shit like that. And it's, or how would you swap people's brains? And it shows you exactly how you do it. And anyway,
it's funny how I remember being in junior high and my friend was like, yo, you got to check out this website. It's called rotten.com.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And being like, what the fuck? Like what kind of crazy shit is out there on the internet? And now, I mean, all you got to do is practically open up your For You page on Twitter and you'll see like, wow, some weird titties. Then you'll see a cute dog. And then it's like, oh, this guy is literally fucking dying.
Yeah.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah. It's like, it's really, Twitter kind of became the front page of the internet kind of like over the last like 5 years where it's just like, especially as a lot of those sites went away. Like I remember when Tumblr died and everybody kind of went to, everybody needed to go somewhere. I think LiveLeak also died. I think that website's no longer around. And that's like where that's like all the gore and all the like any like Chinese factory worker accident videos go. And now there's no site for it. So now it just all spills out on Twitter. And so you'll be scrolling. It's like, oh, I wonder what the news is. And then you'll just see some guy like getting electrocuted trying to steal a copper pipe. And it's just like, all right, well.
I just went to Twitter because I wanted to just open it fresh for the morning and see what my number one story was. What is your, if you refresh Twitter, mine is one from our dear friend Colin Moriarty.
Oh.
Sick of paying to have my driveway and my deck around my pool power washed. First world problems, Colin. First world problems. Figured 100 solid hours in power wash sim prepared me for this very moment. You gotta be careful with those fucking power washers, man. About that. That'll take your fucking hand off, man.
Yeah, those. When I found out how dangerous, like the not power washers are, but like the firefighter hose.
Yeah,
I had no concept that they were that crazy. Right when I was a kid, because I'm just like, that's water. What do you mean?
It makes that UHF clip even better with you get to drink from the fire hose. Dude, and that kid in that UHF clip, he says his name is Joel Miller. It's a Last of Us prequel, dude. UHF.
That was his first original trauma. That's why he's such a monster.
The Weird Al movie, UHF?
Yeah, UHF.
People y'all's age reference a movie that was out when I was 16.
That is Weird Al, man. Like, there's only so much Weird Al
Spatula City, baby. I'm going to Spain.
Dude, all right? You got to drink for the fire. Dude, what is it? Gandhi 2, was it?
Gandhi 2, yeah.
And the surprise closet was the best.
Yeah.
We were, dude, I remember, I'm trying to remember when I first saw that movie. Sometime growing up, but it became like a classic that we watched over and over in my house. Like I've watched the audio commentary of UHF
that's awesome.
With Weird Al before.
That sounds awesome. I don't think I've ever owned it on DVD with like commentary on it.
I didn't know there was that. I didn't know they had a commentary track for it. But
you know what's really sad about modern media actually is like that's kind of gone. Because people don't really buy, like most people don't buy DVDs anymore. They just like it's on streaming or whatever. They buy it from like Amazon for like $3 or something. And it doesn't really they don't really do anything with commentary tracks as far as I know anymore. And I remember doing that a lot when I was a kid, like just watching, because you get like two movies basically. You get the movie and then you get like the people behind it, what they were talking about. My favorite is that Armageddon one with
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah. That one's awesome. I love it. I love it when he's talking about the drillers and he's like, I won't even do it, but it's so good when he's just ripping apart how stupid the idea of getting drillers and the NASA guys can't learn how to do it.
My guys are the best. It's like, why? Because they are. It is unironically like the best thing Ben Affleck has ever done. Is that commentary track? I think.
Okay.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's fucking great. But you know what's, I think about, and you were kind of starting to see it a little bit with COVID, but Maybe I don't. It kind of goes into a part of my topic ish, but let me just say that I wish somebody could figure out the rights issue so people could legally watch movies and comment on them, because I would love to watch, like, to go to Amazon. Like, I'm not trying to rip anybody off or anything, but watch a movie and then there would be like a great film historian or the actors who made it or whatever, and you could watch it while they're live talking about it and talking with the audience and stuff, but there's always that, well, the copyright this and that and the other. And so I don't know how that ever gets solved, but it seems like it's just a great product, a niche product, but still lucrative product waiting to happen. Cause I agree. I miss those tracks, and they don't just have to be from the director, right? It can be an old movie. It's like, oh, here's Leonard Maltin, or here before he died was, and couldn't speak, was Roger Ebert talking about It's a Wonderful Life. And obviously they had nothing to do with the movie, but they're talking about its impact and shit like that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, if there was a Orson Welles commentary track
for which movie?
For Citizen, for any of his movies, really. But like
the Muppet movie
from like way later, like
because he was in that. He was in the Muppet movie.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Orson Welles is awesome. He's such what a weird guy. But like, I would love to hear his like his commentary track for like something like Citizen Kane at like in his later years, like after he was doing those wine commercials or whatever. What was it?
That's right.
Like, it'd be so funny. It's like, all of this is meaningless.
Well, right, because you think about him, and it's like you got to a point where, and it also you get to a point with Orson Welles, and maybe he's like, dude, I peaked. I did it. It's like, what do you do after you scared the shit out of the world with War of the Worlds? And what do you do after Citizen Kane? Yeah, you make a couple other movies, but a lot of people are like, oh, he never reclaimed that thing. And it's like, why would you want to reclaim it? He got it. He probably was just chilling for the rest of his life on his fucking money and fame. And why not?
Yeah.
He changed film.
He also just straight up didn't care, it seemed. Like, he seemed to so greatly disrespect the thing that he was famous for doing. I love every interview clip I see of him is like one of my favorite clips ever, because it's just him.
One of the big things with Citizen Kane, maybe this is not true. Maybe you guys know. Isn't there a thing that the whole movie is actually about like some guy that owned it, like a real guy? It's based on a guy secretly.
Yeah, it's based off Hearst or something. Hearst. One of them. Yeah.
And I think that the whole thing is that. Spoilers for Citizen Kane are
1939.
Spoilers for Citizen Kane. Rosebud, which is what they're all trying to figure out what it means, is the sled. But in real life, apparently Rosebud was the name of that, like the pet name of that girl's vagina.
Right.
And so it was like a dig, like, look what I did. I made this Rosebud part of the movie, and that's the name.
And Spielberg actually owns the sled, Rosebud, that was
really?
Yeah. So it's like, he doesn't own the vagina, but he owns the sled. The real collector has the vagina, but no one knows who that is.
No.
But yeah, no, I mean, I get, and it's funny because there was a time where a lot of video games media, it's like you could tell they didn't really know what Citizen Kane was and sort of what its import was, because they're like, where's our Citizen Kane? We need our Citizen Kane. I'm like, you had your Citizen Kane. You just don't know what Citizen Kane is. You think Citizen Kane is about video games that are emotional or that are narrative based. And it's like, Citizen Kane was brilliant because of its introduction and just sort of success of filmic language and explaining how you can use a camera to be more than just a documentary device of a story being told, but the camera becomes part of the how you evoke emotion. And we had that with Mario 64. Mario 64, and I would even argue Star Fox 64 were the first games that really understood how to use camera in 3D space in a way that brought part of the gameplay to a different level. But games journalists, they don't know anything. Idiots.
Yeah, they just think it's like what's going to be our best like video game ever, because that's what Citizen Kane is, and it's like
yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
Really,
I never watched Citizen Kane, but I heard it's good.
Like,
think about War of the Worlds, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, Citizen Kane is like not like even close to my favorite movie at all.
No, it's
like,
boring.
Even of his, like, it's it's important for what it does, but it's like
Yes.
in and of itself, it's like whatever. Like War of the Worlds is way better in my opinion. And
I have heard
even
two things. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say even just other movies that are like from like what's that one about the evolution? Inherit the Wind from like the 50s
that movie's great.
That's probably one of my favorite.
Spencer Tracy. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I think it's from like the 50s or the 60s or something. But
it's about the Scopes monkey trial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie's fucking incredible. But
it is.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I was just saying that when you mentioned War of the Worlds, I've heard different things about how accurate it is that people were really running out into the streets and thinking that we were being invaded by aliens. And I when I grew up, and the mythos was, no, this happened. It was, everybody thought it was happening. But then there's been some deeper dives into it. It's like, well, at that night, the most popular radio show of the week was on. So the vast majority of people weren't even listening to what Orson Welles was doing. So the idea that the whole country lost their shit is probably sort of a romanticized view. But it is still pretty interesting when you think about, we had a movie in the 80s called Special Bulletin, and it was done exactly the same way but it was TV. So newscasters came on and they're like, there is a group of terrorists in North Carolina. They have a nuke on a boat. They've snuck it in on this boat. And at the end of the movie, it detonates and it blows up North Carolina, or at least Charlotte or whatever. And every time there was a commercial, they let you know this is a movie, but it still freaked the fuck out of kids my age, because it was like, what? People like to cite this movie called The Day After. No, man, it was Special Bulletin, that shit. And it ends with the explosion and you're just like, what the fuck? I don't know if you could do it these days. You guys were talking about rotten.com. And I'm watching this guy right now, a wrestler called Shiloh on WWE on his Twitter account. And he's got this thing going, which has to be kayfabe, where he bought these boots from the dark web and they came.
Oh, I saw that.
Right. And apparently there's blood on them because he got the spray and put a dark light on it. And then there was a GPS tracker in the boot. And then they were able to turn on the phone and call the guy he ordered them from. And there was this creepy message. And it doesn't look produced like WWE does. Like, when they're doing a bit or whatever, you're like, okay, yeah, Vince McMahon's really dead. Ha ha ha. Or Becky Lynch is in the hospital, whatever. But this is like, this looks very homegrown. Like he's just putting it up on his channel. He has like 20,000 followers, but he is signed with the WWE. So I don't know if he's just doing it to drum up business or it's a real thing, but I think it's so hard to trick people now and to kind of get them into this. Is this real? It's like, probably. And now with AI too, it's like, those days are gone.
Yeah, everybody's
those
just kind of
gone.
If anything crazy were to happen now, like that, I think the immediate assumption from most people would be that that's not real. Like, oh, that's probably AI or like fucking whatever. Like everything's so shocking all the time now.
Yes,
that like I think people are just completely dissociated to it.
Oh my, yeah, I saw something the other day. Somebody was saying was real on Twitter. It was like these guys, like, no identification, no badges, and they were just picking up people off the streets and saying, we're ICE and we're taking you to a detention center.
Oh yeah,
like,
the copycat people.
I'm like, I'm kidding, of course. This is really happening. It is really happening. I mean, I saw it last night. I saw this video last night of this woman being picked up by these four guys, and they could have been fucking sex traffickers. There was no badges, no identification, nothing. We're ICE. Okay. And people in the comments were like, well, you got to go with the authorities. I'm like, motherfucker, if that was your mom or your wife or your girlfriend or your sister and these four guys just showed up and had no ID and like, we're taking her, it's like, I'll fucking over my dead body, which would probably be what happens, but that's okay.
Yeah, like anyway. No badge or anything. It is kind of crazy.
No.
Yeah. So now, I don't know, man. People are, it's kind of, I can't imagine actually being shocked by anything now, actually, like to be honest with you. Like, I think that part of my brain is like gone. Like I can't, like it's news related, I guess.
No,
if anything were to happen, like if my stove exploded right now, I'd be like, yo, what the fuck? But
if somebody said, okay, a nuke just went off in Israel, I don't think I would be incredibly sad and worried and scared, but I don't think I would be shocked. Or New York.
No, yeah. I would probably be like, oh shit, that's insane. I should make some calls. But like, it wouldn't be like this. Like, I can't believe this is the phrase. I can't believe this is happening. I can't imagine ever saying that again. You know what I mean? If a dinosaur walked out of the fucking ocean right now and started like eating Tokyo or something, and I'd be like, ah, man, that's kind of nuts. We have movies about this.
That's true.
You know
That's
what
true.
I mean? It'd be completely, everything's kind of stolen. Also,
But
because of all the fiction too that we've absorbed over the God knows how long, that I feel kind of placates a little bit of that.
Aren't you also like a comedian or an actor or something? Don't you do that a little bit or no?
What do you mean?
What I mean is, I thought you did stand up or something like that.
I did stand up a little bit. I did stand up for the week. I started doing stand up the week before the pandemic shut everything down.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because if your first response, if Israel got blown up, was I have to make some calls, I am assuming you're going to call like your agent, because now that the Jews aren't controlling Hollywood anymore, maybe you can get a job in that. Don't say that, Dustin.
No,
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. No, because you said New York. To be fair, after
same
that.
thing, same goddamn thing.
Well, my
thing.
family's there. I should definitely make calls. If
Yeah,
New
but
York
you could get some jobs, baby. You could book some jobs now.
Nah, I don't want that Hollywood crap.
Look, let me tell you something. I have the nose so I can make these jokes. If you're listening to this beautiful, delightful podcast, you're like, that guy just said something anti-Semitic. No, I didn't. My last name's Jaffe. I had a bar mitzvah. Fuck you.
Let me tell you something. As a man with whose dad broke his nose really early by accident and never really got it fixed, I have been the victim of more anti-Semitism than you would imagine.
Because your nose is broke? Was broke?
Because people assume I'm Jewish a lot because my nose is big, or
well,
like
and the whining and
also everything about me probably.
right.
I also did have, like, when I was in high school, I had curly hair too, like a little bit. So it was it was over.
You and Yahweh, baby. He's just waiting for you. Go to that burning bush, baby. Come on now. I'm not even Jewish. I've been Jewish since I was 7 years old, but I still get to, I get to play with the jokes because, fuck you.
Yeah. That's like that Seinfeld episode where that guy converts to Judaism for the jokes.
I never saw that. I need to see that. I love that.
It's a great idea.
It's funny. I loved Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I could never really. Maybe I need to go back and give Seinfeld. Not that I didn't like it, but it seems so episodic that I could never really vibe with it week after week. But
That's
maybe
fair.
now I could.
It's a sitcom is the thing. Like it plays with the. You have to kind of watch it on its own terms because it's like it's trapped within the format. I think if you watch it through the lens of like, look at what these people were able to do on like the strict schedule of network TV with like the strict, like what you can and can't say and what you can and can't do, it becomes a lot more impressive because it's way more clever for them to operate within the bounds of that box than it is for Curb Your Enthusiasm, which in my opinion, like I like Curb Your Enthusiasm a lot, but I also feel like they have so much freedom that it actually kind of ends up leading to a less consistent show.
It is very interesting what you're saying, and this new generations, like even my kids, probably won't have that reference where, it's like, and I love this about new TV, which is they're like, well, why is your season only 7 episodes, or why is it 15 episodes? It's like, well, that's what we need to tell the story, and that's the best. And why is this episode 42 minutes and this episode is 36? Well, because that's what was best for the, because streaming gave us that, and that's wonderful, but when you do think about that discipline and that skill that you don't really need as much anymore to go, you have to make, what was it? 4 times 8, like 32 episodes every single week. You have to make one for 32 weeks or 36 weeks or whatever. And it's got to be 22 minutes and it's got to be consistent. And it's got to, it's like, how the fuck? Yeah, network TV's hard, man.
It's got to be done in time for the table read, and then the table read happens, and then everybody shoots, and then you only have a limited amount of takes because you got to film another one the next week. It is kind of insane, and it's 22 minutes strict.
Yes,
no more, no less. You gotta, if there's dead air, you got to find something to put there. It is interesting. Did
you ever watch Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip from Aaron Sorkin?
No.
It was he only ran for a season. It came the same week or the same season as 30 Rock, and they were both about the same thing. But his was like a workplace drama comedy about running Saturday Night Live, and Matthew Perry played the head comedic writer, and he was it was all on his shoulders. And in his office, he had this digital countdown clock that the minute a show ended, it would reset back to like whatever minutes there are in a week, or a week minus 90 minutes, because that's when the next show had to be ready.
Yeah.
And every week it was just like this, not to be a dork, but sort of Damocles just hanging over his head. Yeah. And it's just like, are we going to make it? So, the old days of stress and cocaine, fellas. If you're too young, you missed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think if you watch Seinfeld from that perspective, it becomes significant. It becomes not only funnier, but it becomes way more interesting to watch, because you're just like, damn, they really... The whole show, like from the beginning to the the last episode's pretty notoriously bad. Although I kind of like it.
Oh, is it bad, or they just didn't like how they ended it?
It's not a great ending, to be fair. But like every episode up to that's like really, like there's something there. Whereas like Curb Your Enthusiasm, I argue has like, there's like some seasons of that show where you're just like, this is kind of a miss of a season, or like
sometimes Curb is a little too hokey, I think.
In that you can kind of see the machinations in Curb now. It's like, wait, he threw that wrapper away, and now the formula is so transparent now, that's going to come back and be,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the first like 6 seasons, though, I think it felt like revelatory.
No, I would agree, and I still like that whole show, to be honest with you. I just think it's like, there's certain points where I'm just like, this is getting too cute, or this is getting too convoluted, or even just parts where like I feel like Larry just becomes like a flanderized version of himself, where I'm just like, there's a scene in like one of the more recent seasons where he like, there's this couple taking a selfie with a selfie stick, and he takes it and he like snaps it over his leg, and I'm just like, that's kind of, you're kind of in the wrong there, actually. Like usually he's like in the right, but he's so bad at navigating these situations that it ends up biting him in the ass, and it makes him sympathetic. But later on, it kind of becomes like, you're just kind of a dick. And also he becomes so rich and famous over the period of that show that the stories just become completely unrelated. I love that it becomes like, oh, I have this dinner party at, Spielberg's house or something.
Yeah. I mean,
isn't this relatable? And it's like,
it's kind of old guy entourage wish fulfillment, though, right? You're kind of,
yeah.
It's like, oh, that would be fun to hang out with Spielberg and Ted Danson. But what I used to live in LA, and it's my favorite city. I love Los Angeles. I know it's changed a lot, but I do love sort of being able to see him go to all the West Side delis and all that shit. I thought that was really, really cool. And I love the one where he went to the Holocaust Museum and took the shoes, though. That's probably the best one recently. Did you ever see that one?
That is, yeah.
It was all the dead kids' shoes or dead people's shoes at the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah, and what was it? His shoes got ruined or something?
I think his shoes got ruined, and it was raining, so he just took them. He took a pile from the exhibit of Holocaust victim shoes, and just to wear them. He's like, "What, my feet? Anyway.
It is funny. Look, it's funny, but
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, we went off on a tangent there.
We
got to rein it in. We're 33 minutes in. We've got cocaine in. We got Seinfeld in.
Little
we got
anti-Semitism
in. Anti-Semitism. Some oppression. So Constellation's off to a good start so far. But before we get into topics, real quick, is it even the intro at this point to be like, hey, check us out at Last Stand or at patreon.com/laststandmedia. It's where all of our stuff is, and you can support us. If you like, you get early access to this show, along with Sacred Symbols, Defining Duke, Summon Sign, Punching Up, all the things we do. We would appreciate it if you helped us out there. Would mean a lot. So, boys, getting into some of our topics, I'm thinking we start with Jaffles and his topic, since we're already kind of in the movie and media zone.
Yeah.
So take us away, Jaffe.
Well, my topic is mostly about summer movie season, which we are now in the thick of. I grew up wanting to be a movie maker, and I also just grew up loving movies. My family loved movies. Some of my fondest memories are going out as a family to a movie, and the theater is just packed I just loved it. And I used to love getting a magazine called Premiere Magazine in the mail, and they would have their like summer movie. All the critics would get together and they would kind of try to guess which would be the top 25 movies of the summer. Was it going to be Batman? Like summer of '89 is the best summer movie season ever. I think you had Batman, the first one, you had Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, you had Lethal Weapon 2, which is the best Lethal Weapon, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Dead Poet Society. There's like 6 or 7 other ones. And it was just, that really represents to me, what I'm talking about when I say summer movie season. And then there's, even a couple younger not generations, but a little younger than me age group. They had like Terminator 2 was a big one for their summer movie season. And, there were a couple other ones that a lot of people cite as being really big years. And I think not just because of COVID, but because of just movie going in general, no longer being what it once was, it's no longer really kind of, there are still big summer movies coming out and some have already come and sort of gone. Like I was looking at the list right now on Rolling Stone for this summer. And like, I haven't even the last Mission Impossible movie, which I heard was really good. It just, I'm like, I'll stream it. I'll check it out when it comes out. Or there was a Karate Kid movie, and I know it sounds stupid, but I love the Karate Kid series. That kind of came and went. But it's the first summer I can think of where there actually are summer movies that I want to see. And I actually want to go out to the theater to see them. So my topic is kind of all over in the sense that are there summer do you guys have a place in your heart being much younger for the summer movie season, or it's just like, they're just movies? Are there any coming up you want to see? And I do want to wrap it up with sort of what I think is almost better than summer movie season based on something that we get with the internet. But let's just start, and then I'll tell you which. Here's the ones I want to see, and then you guys, I'm curious what you think. I want to see this Pixar movie, Elio, about the kid with the, I don't know, he's a weird kid and he talks to aliens. I don't fucking know. A lot of people are saying 28 years later, but I want to see F1 a lot. I want to see Fantastic Four a lot, and I want to see Superman a lot. Yeah. There are probably other ones like Jurassic World and whatnot that I will see and want to see, but those are the ones that I actually like. I rarely go out to the movies. The last movie theater I probably was in was to watch Mario, the movie, just because I wanted to see it day one because I was curious. But I rarely go out anymore because I might as well watch it at home. It's home in 40 days. Fuck it. So what about, do you guys give a shit about summer movie season, or is it not even a season to you? It's just, no, man, it's the summer and there happen to be movies in the theater.
Yeah. I think it was like after I graduated high school, and me and my friends were like hanging out practically every day. That was when it was like summer movies really mattered. We would go see things all the time because I think our theater, one of our local theaters, it was either Tuesdays or Wednesdays, it was $4 to see any movie all day, $4. So it was like, yeah, every week we're going to see something. Sometimes even like, we would go even if it wasn't $4 a day, just because it's like we're 18, 19 years old and can do whatever we want whenever we want for that time period. But Jaffe, I think I'm a lot like you in that I was looking at my Letterboxd account and like, man, the amount of movies I even watch in general has gone down so much in the last few years. It's weird because I don't think there was any like conscious thought where I'm like, oh, I don't really care about movies anymore. I think that with this job and things like that, I have just gone so far deep into games that I just don't know. I just don't really go to the movies that often. And the other thing too is that the movie, I think there was a Constellation topic maybe around when we first started. It might've been mine. It was movie theater etiquette, where I love the ideal experience of going to a movie, but it never is anymore. Like, first of all, the theater that's close to me fucking sucks. I never want to go there. So I have to drive 25 minutes.
What do you mean it sucks? It sucks how?
It's like the screens are not like, they're super low contrast.
Oh yeah.
There's no stadium seating. So like, and the screens are just generally small. Yeah. Like there's been last time I was there, I was like, I actually think the view distance, like the ratio, I'm actually getting a bigger picture when I'm at home or like pretty dang close. So it's like, why am I spending all this money for a subpar experience where I'm most likely going to be annoyed by somebody in the theater while I'm there? So that's annoying. So I find that I just am like, I love the theater experience, but I just don't want to deal with it. So
when you go 25 minutes out, is it better? Not just the contract, because the etiquette thing, I hear people talk about the etiquette, but I don't really experience that a lot. But it may be because the theater I usually go to is like Cinépolis or whatever they call it, with the seating that reclines and the waiters bring you food. And most people going there are probably there to watch the movie. They're not like a bunch of 16-year-old kids with their phones just waiting for somebody to say chicken jockey,
Right. So the theater that's 25 minutes away is actually it's actually in a smaller town than Butler, which is interesting. It's pretty low key. Normally they have stadium seating and the screens are much bigger. It's not like amazing or anything. If we want to go to IMAX or like a Dolby theater, we're driving all the way to Pittsburgh. So it's like more like an hour drive, which I've done, a decent amount of times to see certain movies in IMAX or something like that. And usually that's a better experience, but it's not like we don't have anything like Alamo or something like that. Alamo rules though. I mean, you're going to have to take out a loan to go there and actually like get food and drinks and a movie.
Where is the nearest one? Because I've never been to an Alamo. I know there's the Draft House in Austin, but that's the only one I really know of.
There's definitely not any near me. There was a few near where my parents lived near DC that we would go to. So I remember, I think we saw like the live action Pokemon movie. And I think it was like, between Holly and I, it was like $80 or something, because we got drinks and food.
Yeah.
And the movie, I was like, holy shit. I mean, it was fun. It wasn't that fun though.
Is Alamo because I know ArcLight in LA, not in San Diego, but in LA, they'll have the usher come out before the movie and do they do that at Alamo? And if so, it's like, I get that they're going to do that for like, oh, this is the new Wes Anderson film. But what do you say about the Pokemon live action movie when you're the usher coming out trying to give a Criterion introduction to the, what's there to say?
Fancy.
Okay.
They do have like the waiter service where you'll order stuff and they'll bring it out to you during the movie and stuff. Right. But there's that's pretty interesting. So the theater you go to has a guy that comes out and does
ArcLight. Chris, you're in LA, right?
Yeah.
You've been to the ArcLight, right? The one on Sunset. Is it Sunset or wherever it is, where the Cinerama Dome? They used to have, it was like an aficionado theater where every screening usher would come out and talk about the director's vision in the movie, and not like for hours, but like for like a 5-10 minute preamble as everyone was getting seated. And partially it was probably because the director may actually be in the audience. You never know, but I don't know if they do. I don't think they did that in San Diego, but they did that in LA for sure. And I thought they might've done that at the Alamo in Austin, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The ArcLight, I'm usually never there. Like I'm usually in Burbank because there are 3 AMCs.
Yeah, Burbank's got great theaters
in the downtown area that are all like a block away from each other. So like usually that's my default. But I like those. I like those Alamo Draft House. Those meal serving theaters. But like the last time I went to one, I had like a terrible experience. I think I saw Barbie in one of those theaters. And my food came in the 3rd act, like towards the end. So like I felt like I was like rushed. I had to like, oh fuck, now I gotta finish all this food.
But that was the movie though. That wasn't you. And when you see Barbie, the women get their food first. That's just the way the movie set up.
Oh right, I forgot. I forgot about the
and if you see Schindler's List, you get nothing. There's no food.
It's fair, I guess. It's immersive.
Do not go see House of a Thousand Corpses. Because it's
the immersive Schindler's List in 4DX, like on the like rumble seats.
God, can you imagine? Oh my God, man. My God. I saw Force Awakens in 4DX and I was like, it's cool, but it doesn't really add anything. I don't love it. I don't see the point.
What is the 4DX again? What is it's like the seats that move and shit?
Yeah, they move and they'll like sneeze on you in a water scene. Yeah. Some of them, honestly, I've never done it. I've been close to one of those seats when seeing a movie, and even being near it annoyed me because I could hear it like rumble. I'm like, dude, It's not a fucking theme park. Like,
Well, that's
what are we
the
doing
idea.
here?
They're trying to give you a reason to come to the theater, I imagine.
Well, yeah.
But I wanted to see Twisters in 4DX, but then I was like, it's Twisters. I'll wait till it comes home. And I just watched it on the TV. But anyway, okay, yes. So I hear what you're saying about that. But for summer movies now, like, is there anything you're looking forward to this summer, or it's not even on your radar? Does your wife go, hey, because there's this movie that a lot of people are talking about that just came out called Materialist, I think is what it's called. That it's kind of the Materialist. It's with Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, and Dakota Johnson. And people are saying it's just fucking great as an adult movie, like a date movie or whatever. But
right.
But she doesn't pay attention either. It's just not on y'all's radars as moviegoers.
So I do have movies I want to see. We can go over those.
I'd love to know.
Holly loves movies, but she passively loves them. In fact, most of the time when she watches a movie, I'm like, hey, I heard this is good. Do you want to watch it? And she's like, okay, cool. So she goes in totally blind.
Right.
We did that the other day. We watched Heretic, the A24 movie.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's great.
It was very good. Yep. It was pretty fun. It's on HBO. But so yeah, she had no idea. She was like, okay, cool. And then she's like, is it Hugh Grant in it? She's like, whoa, why is Hugh Grant in this movie? And he's amazing in it too. But I have seen one movie so far this summer, and I know it's a movie Chris has seen, and that's Friendship, which is the Tim Robinson, Paul Rudd movie. It's the first time I've seen a comedy in theaters since like Anchorman 2, maybe.
Wow.
And it's fucking weird. It is a weird, really funny movie. If you've seen the Netflix show, I Think You Should Leave, it is a lot like it's very Tim Robinson humor. So you either like that or hate it. Like I think if I took my dad to see this movie, I think he would walk out because he would not get it at all. So that was good. I listed 4 movies upcoming that I do want to see. One of them in theaters now, and that's Ballerina, which is the John Wick spin-off movie. I don't know if it's good at all. I actually haven't seen any reviews, but I think I'm going to go with my mom to see that probably in the next week or so. 28 Years Later, I want to see because, dude, I haven't seen 28 Days Later in at least a decade. So I need to rewatch that. But I remember that movie being great. The next one is Eddington, and that's Ari Aster, right?
Yes.
Is the director. Okay. Ari Aster is the director that I at this point will watch anything he does.
Yeah.
Just because of how crazy his movies usually are. Even his last movie, Beau's Afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I like that movie, but I really enjoyed watching it because it was so different and weird. Of course, Midsummer and the other horror movie he did.
Yeah, Hereditary.
Dude, Hereditary scared the fuck out of me. Ben and I were in Los Angeles for I think it was the last E3. And we had a day and we were like, well, what are we supposed to? We're just kind of hanging around until we need to go to the airport. Not enough to go really do something. So we kind of just need to float around the area. So I'm like, oh, this horror movie came out. It's getting good reviews. It's called Hereditary. You want to go? Well, sure. And I had no idea what I was getting into.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good with horror movies, but that one, legitimately, I don't think I will ever watch it again. I think
interesting.
I think I'm one and done on Hereditary. And then the last one that I'd like to see is The Naked Gun.
Yeah.
There's just a new trailer for it and it looks really funny. I'm still skeptical. I will be skeptical of it being good until I see it.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like it's one of those. It's equally it would be so easy to get this right, but it's also incredibly difficult to get right at the same time. But the latest trailer I thought looked really good.
I'm real curious if modern or younger people will get and like the humor. I've shown my kids parts of Airplane and Top Secret and all that, and they're just like, stupid. I'm like, I know. That's what's great about it, but the meme culture has totally changed comedy, I think, for a lot of younger generations. And I don't know if Naked Gun is going to work for them. But I will be there as well. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
It's interesting how that like there's like generational humor that works on certain generations and doesn't. Because I grew up watching like Spaceballs and UHF, so like real slapsticky humor like that. I didn't see Naked Gun until like earlier this year for the first time.
Wow,
I've seen Airplane before.
Right. That's wild.
So when I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm 100% into these. I love movies like this. So I wonder if it's just like situational of like if you weren't there for those movies, did you grow up with like somebody in your life show them to you when you were younger, more impressionable? And that is what
I have to imagine that's part of it. But I have to also think that maybe it's a sense of, what you find shocking and absurd. And certainly, my kids growing up with school shootings and terrorism and the civil unrest in America and stuff, they're going to think things, they tend to really like the random shit. Like that's, it's just like, okay, like almost like Chris is saying, nothing shocks them anymore. So it's got to be something that's like, really batshit out of nowhere. But like, I'll show them, Holy Grail, which I still think is one of the fucking funniest movies ever made.
Oh yeah.
And they'll just be like, it's kind of stupid. I'm like, no. Remember when she says there's some awfully good dirt down here, Dennis? Remember that? And they're like, no, not really. Okay. So yeah, I think there's both. I think part of it's generation and part of it's just, did you come up with that in your home? The fact that you guys watched UHF, I mean, that was like I said, you guys weren't even born when that was like a C-level, came out from the theaters, did nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it. It was a failure. And me and my brother and my friend saw it the day it came out because we watched everything and we thought it was hilarious and we always were quoting it. And then here we are many years later and it's like, because you guys are what, in your 20s or something? It's like
30s.
30s.
Yeah, I'm 31.
Like, how the fuck are these kids watching fucking F? But that's cool. I think it's hilarious.
Weird Al was relevant for a while. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, Weird Al was still kind of like he was still putting because wasn't White and Nerdy like that was
that was like when we were in junior high.
That was that was junior high. That was like the year before I went to high school. So like he was still like somebody that you would look into a lot. And so like if you were curious at all and you knew how to use the internet at all, you'd be like, there's a movie?
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Know? And so like, yeah, I loved UHF.
Did you watch the Daniel Radcliffe Weird Al movie?
Yes, I did.
I thought it was great. Great movie. Surprisingly
Fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
I watched that movie. I watched that movie on shrooms for the first time.
Oh,
it was a very weird experience, but it was, I laughed so damn hard at that movie. I don't know if it's as funny as it. I don't know if I watched it now, it would be as funny as I found it in the state that I watched it in. But it was, I had a great time with that movie. But Naked Gun is one of mine too. Like where I'm just like, I'm so curious about it because half of that trailer looks like they got it. And then half of the trailer, like, I don't know, I don't know how I feel about it, but that scene of him driving and like he gets the coffee through the window. I'm like, that is exactly
super. Yeah.
That is exactly right. And then it gets into the toilet humor where I'm like, I don't know, maybe you're kind of losing me a little bit. And then it wins me back. And then I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm so curious about that movie. And I love The Naked Gun. All of Leslie Nielsen's stuff, even some of the stuff that people don't like from him, like Wrongfully Accused. And have you ever seen that, Jaffe or Dustin? Dude, there's a scene. Those are one of his more like, that's later on, like after The Naked Gun, things got more like Spy Hard was another one, and that had Weird Al in it actually. Like he did he did the Bond parody opening theme for it. But Wrongfully Accused has probably one of my favorite Naked Gun-esque gags ever, where like he's running away from like a runaway train. Like a train is like chasing him through the woods basically, and he's like running away from it, and then he goes to hide, and then he peers behind the tree, and then it cuts to another tree, and the train peaks around the tree, and I'm like, that is so fucking fantastic. I can't get over it. But that movie, like, people don't like, but
I've never even heard of it. That was like when I was like going after the Harrison Ford movie, right? The when he's running from the one-armed
Fugitive?
man. Yeah, wasn't that kind of like a take on those kind of movies?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I don't remember much about it. I just remember that scene specifically because it broke me when I first saw it. I was like, that is hysterical, that idea. And it makes like a big like choo-choo noise when it's like a menacing. It's fucking ridiculous. But
the Top Secret, which with Val Kilmer was really good, where the one I remember, my favorite was where they're in the restaurant and he's with the woman and he starts speaking some language, or he's like, I don't know. She speaks German. And the woman says, I know a little German. And then she points to the end of the room. He goes, he's sitting over there. And a little person, German guy gets up and waves at her.
It's ridiculous.
It's the best ever. All right. Anyway, so but you're not looking forward. It sounds like you're saying Naked Gun and you're saying Eddington, but like no Fantastic Four, no Superman, no Pixar, none of the big kind of obvious ones.
For me, I'm pretty curious about like I think James Gunn is fantastic. I've been a fan of him since I think the first movie I saw from him was Super. I don't know if you ever saw that with
I didn't see it, but I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rainn Wilson and at the time Ellen Page, and it was that movie shocked the shit out of me. I remember like watching it in my girlfriend's room at the time on this like really little TV that she had like mounted way too high on the wall, and it always bothered the hell out of me. Like I don't understand why people mount their TV so goddamn high, but I was watching and I remember watching. It's like, oh, this is like kind of like a weird. It's like a weird, grungy kind of superhero comedy with the guy from The Office in it. Yeah, whatever. This is weird. And I watched it on cable, so it was like interrupted by those awkwardly long commercial periods. And then the ending of that movie just completely like you're just like, yo, what is this? Is crazy. And so ever since then, I was like a big fan of him. And so when he did Guardians of the Galaxy, I think I like all three of those Guardians movies. That last Guardians of the Galaxy movie is shockingly good. Also, like I remember, like, and that was like at a time when I was like way done with Marvel stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, but I'll see what James Gunn is doing. I think that Suicide Squad that he did was fucking great, a lot of fun. So I'm really optimistic about that Superman movie. I never gave a shit about Superman really at all. Growing up, I think I watched a little bit of the animated series, but it was all about. In the late 90s, it was all about Batman and Spider-Man, the animated series. Like of the cartoon superhero animated series that you were watching, like those were the ones. And so Superman was kind of a backseat. I didn't really care for. I don't really have any reverence for the Christopher Reeve movies either. It was just too before my time. And then Returns came out, and I just didn't care. The Man of Steel came out, and it sucked. And so Superman hasn't, like, in my entire lifetime, Superman's been pretty irrelevant. Outside of like some animated things that he might have shined in. So I'm really curious about that. It looks fun. It's a James Gunn movie, so I'm down for it. Fantastic Four, I'm curious about just because I like the aesthetic that they're going for and the setting of like the 60s. But I have this thing in my head where it's just like, this is going to ultimately like, there's going to be shit in this movie that I just don't understand. You know, because it's reference. Because it's the 50th movie in this franchise that they're making. So like, even if it is a period piece, there's going to be shit that I'm just not going to pick up on. So that kind of bothers me. But I like everybody involved with it. I like Pedro Pascal. I like Joseph Quinn. I like the people involved. I just, that's okay. So what's the one movie you're gonna go out and see this summer? Then is it Superman or which one is it? Or Naked Gun probably. It's these probably 28 years. Okay. 28 years I'm really fucking curious about because I actually still haven't seen Weeks. I've only seen Days, 28 Days Later. So I'm probably going to pick up Weeks on some random, whatever streaming service it's available on because it's the only way that you could get fucking anything anymore. And try and watch that and see how I feel about it. That's the one that I'm most excited for. That because that trailer that's probably one of the best trailers I've seen in modern history. Like for like a movie with like that World War Boots poem in the background, and it's like genuinely impressive shit. I can't remember being that transfixed by a trailer since like probably like when the first I didn't see the Skinamarink trailer.
The Skinamarink trailers, the better than the movie. The Skinamarink trailer scared the shit out of me, and I was like 51.
Jaffe, there's a lot of trailers better than the movie, man. There's a lot of. I think the one that I think of most when I think of like impactful trailers, honestly, it's not even a movie. It's Dead Island.
Oh, well, I got pissed at that trailer. I was so pissed because everybody was loving that trailer. And I'm like, motherfuckers, that is not the game.
No, I know that. Yeah.
I know you know that, but all the fans and the journalists, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? It's a CG trailer. What the game? Look, if they're proposing a mechanic where the game plays backwards, okay, I'm there. Where do I sign up? But that's not this game. You fucking know it.
Of course, yeah. And that first game
but
was
you're right. You're right. It was a great trailer.
Yeah, that's a prime example of trailer being better than the material that it's representing.
It's interesting though. In 28 years, I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes. It's like great reviews. I think like IGN gave it a 9. It's sitting at a 90, but the audience score is like a 68. I wonder what that difference is.
That's like
I do too, but I usually like it when it's the other way.
Oh right, I see what you're saying.
You know,
did you see Joker 2?
No, I only watched scenes of Joker 1. I heard it was just too depressing, and I don't like depressing movies.
Oh man, yeah.
Did you like Joker 2?
I don't know. Still,
okay, that's good. That's a good response. I mean,
yeah, I think so. Here's my issue with Joker 2. And I think we've mentioned that we've talked about this in like some show in the past, but like
we're opening an old wound for me, Chris. The audience will hate me again.
Did you not like it, or you did?
No, I thought it was. I don't think it was the best movie I ever saw, but I thought it was good. Like I liked it. But
yeah, and I think it's probably good. I just think I remember going in there because I am a fan of musicals, actually. Like unironically, I think they're actually really fun.
Me too. Yeah.
I saw Wicked in theaters, and I thought that was like some of the most fun I've had. Like that was like a crazy good movie for no reason. I was like, this is kind of insane. But so I remember listening to this soundtrack for Joker 2, or like what I assumed was a soundtrack, which was like Lady Gaga in her Harley character singing all these old kind of Broadway, like old New York style jazz tunes, right? These lounge hits. And I was like, oh, this is a really fucking great album. I can't wait to see this in the movie. And the movie has none of that. Like it's completely fake. It's like not even it's in the credits and that's it. And I'm like, yo, that is wild.
But wait, isn't the movie a musical though? Don't they have musical numbers in the movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not that music.
It's not the music that I was expecting based on the marketing. And it's also there's like one musical number really.
Okay.
There's more than that.
Well, there's one real like traditional musical. There's one scene where the musical it becomes a musical, and that's in like there's like a courthouse scene where like you know you're kind of following the character and he's moving through a 3D space, but it's not actually happening. It's like kind of like representative, and he's like he's beating people up, but it's not really happening because it's like you know
right.
It's for the every other musical sequence in the show is just kind of him. It's kind of Joaquin Phoenix like singing out of key in like a room awkwardly.
Maybe I should watch it. Just you know, it sounds very interesting.
I think you'd find it interesting for sure. I don't even think it's bad. I just think like I went in like with like expecting a certain thing.
Right.
I actually think a played straight Joker musical would have actually been fucking cool because like that seems to make sense. He is insane. Like why not?
It is one of those movies, I think, where like when you say you expected, they led you to expect a certain kind of movie and they kind of did so. Like I could see the marketing people going, guys, I get you think it's clever and I get you think it's a metaphor for the very nature of the madness of the character. But end of the day, people are going to feel pissed. And I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score is exactly the critic score, which is 31%. Which is rare. It's exactly, but it's perfectly 31%.
Yeah,
but
I feel like it's a cult movie. I feel like eventually, I feel like after a long period of time, people are going to be like, "That's pretty good."
There's rare films. There's probably a lot more than I can think of, but so one of my favorite movies. Sorry, anime talk incoming. Is the film for Evangelion, the end of Evangelion, which was made as a response to how people didn't like the end of the anime. And when you watch it, it feels so fucking spiteful to its own audience. That's like, oh, you didn't fucking like my ending? Well, here's this. And that's kind of how I feel about Joker 2, is that it feels like a spite movie to people that I think received the wrong intended message. Well, I guess what the director intended from Joker 1.
Oh, I heard that. I heard that was the intention.
And that's what I like about it. And so if you don't like that and you don't like how I feel like Joker 2 is a course correction. It's like, no, you actually didn't really get it. Which, of course, movies are interpretation. Anyone can take a movie how they feel. But the whole like director audience relationship and how that was like actually no. I think that's so interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I love that movie. And so you're either going to love that or hate that. Because
I want to watch it because that sounds. I've heard that, but now to hear you articulate it like that, that's really interesting. It's very interesting.
It is interesting. It's an interesting movie for sure. I haven't seen it since I saw it the first time, so like I should probably watch it again.
Yeah, because you definitely need to watch both of them, Jaffe. If you do,
I will.
Because it's and like I don't want to hype up like Joker 2 is not incredible or amazing, but as far as I think the whole story around it is what makes it an interesting experience.
Yes,
that's
I can see that.
The thing is, like, I it's so weird because I just remember I remember seeing Joker 1 in theaters, and that was a really memorable experience because I remember that was it's probably the only time in my adult life that I can remember feeling like physically uncomfortable in like a theater surrounded by people. Like there's a tension in that the talk show, the entire talk show.
You get what you fucking deserve.
No, but dude, like sitting in a theater with like, and you could hear a pin drop in that theater. Like, and I saw that movie like 3 times, when it was out and new, because like I knew so many people who wanted to see it who couldn't. Like, it's like, yeah, I'll go with you. I'm curious to see it again. And every single time, even though I knew what was going to happen after the first time, like I was like really fucking uncomfortable. It was like weird. And I was like, that's something special. Like I wouldn't say that Joker 1 is brilliant or anything, but like there's a sauce there for sure, where like they understood exactly how to ratchet tension. They understood exactly what kind of sound mix complemented that well, and how exactly to pace things off and how exactly to write this in such a way to make it just maximum uncomfortable. And I value that a lot. It was like a really memorable.
Yeah, that scene movie is great. I've probably watched that scene 10 times. I agree. It's
the lead up to that scene is makes it though. Like it's like that scene on itself is obviously great.
Oh, you mean leading not to the shooting, but to the actual scene itself, the lead up, like the scenes before.
The whole movie leading up to it like sets it up so well, and it's really fucking good.
That's cool.
I think, even though it is derivative of like a lot of things.
Sure.
But yeah, but I don't know. I think 28 years and Superman are the main ones that I'm looking forward to. Like I'm definitely going to see Fantastic Four at some point. And there's a couple other movies that I've heard like I want to see, but I've heard mixed things about. Like I wanted to see that movie Honey Don't with Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza and like a bunch of other people, and I'm like, it had a good trailer, but like I've heard it's like kind of like whatever. So like I don't know, maybe I'll still see it just out of curiosity, but I still haven't. But there's a bunch of movies that I still haven't. I feel like I go to the movies a lot. I just saw The Phoenician Scheme in theaters.
I wanted to ask you. Well, now that you've seen it, I was curious if either one of you have seen it because I have a take about Wes Anderson, but I'm first curious what you thought about it.
I don't know if I really got it. Right, like I had fun watching it. Like it was like a fun movie to watch, but I don't know if I really, what the thing with the Phoenician Scheme is that there's a lot of plot regarding like percentages and numbers, and like the whole movie's about like people fighting over, I guess, like shares of something. I don't know. Like the second anybody's like fighting over like percentages or something, and that's like a key part of the movie, I kind of like tune out. I'm like, all right, well, just I'll watch the performances or whatever. But like, I don't know. I do think I like Wes Anderson's style. I think it's interesting. I like that he does what he does, but it also kind of strikes me as I'm never really surprised.
That's it.
Like
That's my thing about him is that I've seen Bottle Rocket, Royal Tenenbaums, Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest. I've not seen all of his movies, but I've seen most of them, and I'm over it. Like he has his one style. And I feel like now, like, I know exactly what I'm getting with Wes Anderson, which I think is sometimes great. Like Grand Budapest Hotel, I thought was surprising, like shockingly good. And I thought I was over him at that point. But when I see a new trailer, I'm like, it's another Wes Anderson movie where he's going to do the same types of things that he does in all of his movies, which I guess if you really like that,
yeah,
great.
I mean, it's like a punk band doing more punk. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want them to necessarily like, you don't want Rage Against the Machine to put out a lounge album. Although I would be fucking mega curious to hear that personally. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. I just yeah, the style. I'm more interested in a more dynamic style. I think it's cool that he has the what would you even call it? The symmetrical framing and all that. And I think the performances are actually really good. Michael Cera's great in it. Everybody's really good in it. But I remember it ended and I just remember being like, yeah. All right, it's a Wes Anderson movie for sure. But I feel like there's so much I haven't seen that Mad Max movie, not Fury Road, the Furiosa. And I heard that was really good, and I did see Nosferatu. I saw The Monkey as well. Did you guys see The Monkey?
I heard it was good though.
The Monkey was so much more fun than I thought it would be. It's insane.
Is that the British guy?
No, the Monkey is that.
You know what I'm talking about though? The movie about the British musician that they made him a monkey.
Oh,
that guy.
What is that?
Really, Robbie Williams documentary.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense that you would think that. No, I heard that was a good movie too, though. But I just don't give a shit.
I heard it was. Yeah, but
I don't give a shit about Robbie Williams even slightly. So like, whatever. But no, The Monkey was that horror movie about like the symbol, the cursed toy symbol monkey, which looked like and it is kind of a schlock fest. But dude, that movie is so much more. Watch that movie if you can.
Yes, I think it's just a Stephen King short story, right? Didn't he write that short story?
Yeah, I think it's based on the Stephen King story, but like I don't know if the movie. I don't know how
tied it is.
I would be shocked to find out that the movie was primarily based on anything that was written, because it's so tongue in cheek and so fucking funny.
Now, isn't there, from the directors of Talk to Me? Don't they have a new movie? Is it called Bring Her Back?
Yeah,
Bring Her Back. I heard
kind of came and gone, but I haven't seen it. I'm sure it'll be streaming any minute now. But
I still haven't seen Talk to Me. I got to get around to that.
It was good.
It was good. Yeah. So I'm curious about that one too, because I thought, Talk to Me, I thought was surprisingly like, oh, I like a good kind of average horror movie. You know?
Yeah. I don't know what that means anymore. Good and average are different things, aren't they?
I mean.
I'm trying to think what I even mean by that.
Like, because Hereditary wouldn't fit in that. I think Hereditary is a classic, right? I mean, that's a classic. I guess modern classic.
Some horror movies are like either too tropey or too like, we're gonna make this as crazy as possible. You know, and I'm like, I think I'm good on that.
Okay,
I don't know. Talk to Me had a good balance.
I like the over the top ones sometimes. I like. Was it Cabin in the Woods is probably one of my favorite.
That movie.
Oh, that is good.
I love, and that's very, very that borders on comedy, which I think all the best. My favorite horror always bends in that area where it's like, this could be a comedy. If you looked at it with like different lighting and a different like set of circumstances, like this would be funny. So I love Evil Dead so much. Like Evil Dead Rise, I thought was so much fun, and what is it? I don't know. There's a lot of movies. Nosferatu, I remember saying that was not at all like that.
No,
but I like.
He's doing a Christmas Carol apparently.
Yeah,
I saw
awesome.
that. That's fucking cool. Like that's a really exciting prospect for that director. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like people are just kind of. People are weird about movies. I feel like I go to movies sometimes and I'm like, that was fun, and then I go online and then it's just like everybody hates it or something.
Yeah,
like that's how it was with Alien Romulus. Like I remember walking out of Alien Romulus and being like, that was a really good time. That was really great. And I came out, everybody's like, oh, it fucking sucks. And I'm like, really? Oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a, and it's a little lamenting for me of, even though I love the internet and I love internet culture and everything, but everybody's so fractured now. And so movies don't have the cachet they used to have. And they, people are, would rather play games, or they'd rather be on the internet, or they'd rather binge this show or this, that, or the other. And so there was a nice moment there where culturally there was something that we could agree on. Like I even wonder, not in any meaningful way, like I care that much, but I wonder about how much less divided we would be as a country if we at least still had a shared culture, like entertainment culture. Because back in the day, not that long ago, everybody would still watch and talk about the finale of a Seinfeld, or they would watch this, or this was the big movie, and everybody, but we don't even have that anymore to bring different people together. Like, it's there's too many things vying for very specialized entertainment. This podcast being one of them. I mean, somebody is sitting aside 3 hours to do this and clean their house, or do this and play a video game or whatever. And there's, I do wonder how much that isn't responsible, not this podcast, but, all of the fractured entertainment for maybe amplifying the division that we have. Maybe that's a little bit too stupid to think about.
No, I think you're probably onto something. Like, I think it almost feels like, people when we used to talk about like multiverse theory, the idea of just like, okay, here's our own universe, and then there's like thousands of other universes either just like it or slightly different, and like, it kind of feels like that's true of just like existence. Because like I'll talk to people about like movies, and they'll mention something that like I've straight up never fucking heard of, or something. Like, it's just like I've never even had an inkling of hearing about it, or some show. Like, there's always some show. I think there's very few shows that like kind of like, there's sometimes I think everybody will like lock in. Usually it takes like an Avengers type thing, like
a Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. What's the show? I always want to say Succession, but that's not the right. What the fuck is that show? The most recent. Am I crazy? Why am I not remembering?
Succession was a big show, but
Severance.
I forgot the name there for a second, which is crazy.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's one of my favorite shows, and I forgot the name. But like, that was one where like everybody was talking about it, and it felt like there was like some unanimity, if that's even a fucking word, about it. But those happen fewer and farther. They're fewer and farther between now than they used to be. Even in early internet time, like I remember, like even just like if someone was going to show you a YouTube video at a certain point, you kind of had an idea of what it was going to be, because you knew what was trending or what was the big thing on the site, and there was really nowhere else for it to be. That's gone now. Now there's like people with like millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of subscribers that I've never heard of. I just heard about today.
Yeah,
and you're just amazing. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, I remember when iShowSpeed showed up out of nowhere, and he was like already like top of the game by the time that I'd seen him for the first time, and I'm like, what the fuck? Or like Kai Cenat with like, I remember the first time I heard of him was he was like doing that stunt with like the PlayStations in New York City. He was like giving them out.
Oh, right.
And I just remember being like, who the fuck is this guy? And then you look up at the stats, and it's like, wow, yeah, it's just completely fractured. Yeah. I think, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I do miss it. The last thing I wanted to say real quick is just I wish and I hope it will be monetized, because I have, like most everybody, watching movies with friends or community on Discord, which I know is, not a legal thing to do, but it kind of gives you a little bit of a unique experience that is a little bit akin to the movies, where everybody's there. It's a communal event. You can pause. So you get the joy of watching it at home, because if someone's got to pee, you can pause it, but you also have everybody reacting. So like, we watched on my community for my stream Final Destination the other night, and we were all in there watching it together. And so when all the kills happened, you could hear the audience of people just like, oh my fucking God. And so it's kind of nice to have a little bit of that back, but still through the convenience of the internet. I keep wanting, because Apple TV doesn't have Discord, and I don't know if you can do that on the Discord with PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, but I can only do it on my computer monitors. But I'm sure we're not far away from being able to, you can do it if you have a PC in your living room, but a big TV and you're watching the movie on the couch, but you've also got all your friends around it watching it as well. You can set that up today, but it's not as plug and play. You can do it with a PC for sure. I don't think they'll ever give that shit to you. I don't think companies, like, to the extent that consoles are prepackaged, kind of curated bits of machinery that are like intended to be simple and not complex. Yep. I don't think you're ever going to see them offer you something like that, because they did already. It was Xbox 360 with Netflix Watch Party. They had that.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of it because they were like, wait, people are just siphoning Netflix subscriptions.
Well, it would be great. Like I said, I don't deny them the desire to make their money. I'd be fine if they wanted to monetize it. If they wanted to say, hey, if you want Netflix, but you want this version.
Oh, like I'm a Netflix premium or something? Yeah.
Yeah, because I do think that is look, people are doing it anyway. And if Discord ends up putting the hammer down, which they might eventually, especially if they go public soon, which they're trying to do, that's just going to go somewhere else, right? Because I mean, how many of you have not watched a movie with your friends and community in a Discord? I know that the Last Stand Media Discord probably doesn't do it because it's so much more on the up and up. But my little rinky-dink Discord, it's not a big deal.
I've actually never done it.
Oh, really? Well,
I've never. The thing for me though is that I don't love watching anything that I don't like watching anything for the first time with other people generally. Like I don't mind going to a theater because that's just that's the name of the game. But like, I can't even tell you how many times I've been invited to like, Last of Us episode watch party. And then we're sitting there and everybody's talking or like, there's like people are like cracking a joke or whatever. And like, it becomes like a riff session. And like, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a fun thing. But like, I don't want that to be my first experience with this thing.
I think it depends on the movie. If it's a horror movie, I love it. But you're right. If you're watching like a serious film or something, I'm not really interested in that either. You're right.
Well, dude, even a schlocky, like I like to know what it is holistically, and then like if second watch, like I don't give a shit. Like do whatever the fuck you want. I've been invited to so many watch parties, and I would watch the episode before I got there.
Oh wow, okay.
Because I'm just like, I'm not letting you fuck this up. I'm not letting you because I get so frustrated when people talk over like. Sometimes I'll be sitting there watching a movie and then somebody like I'll be watching it with somebody and then they'll turn to me and they'll talk and they'll ask me a question about what I'm watching.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a question that is literally being answered on screen at the moment that they're asking the question.
Right. Or
it's just like
it's like, what do you think's going to happen to her? Ellen DeGeneres has a joke where she's like, I don't know. Let's watch and find out together. It's like, I don't know. I'm watching the same fucking show you are.
Yeah,
I have no clue what's going to happen to her.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So like Discord, especially with like the delay and then like mic compression, it's just like it sounds like a nightmare scenario for me, honestly.
Fair enough.
But I like that idea.
Yeah, Dustin, you've not watched Discord movies with people, or you have?
No, I've never done.
Okay, maybe I'm in the minority then. All right, you guys should do a Last Stand Media Film Festival.
Last Stand Media Film Festival. We're watching Minecraft.
Yeah, watch a bunch of video game movies.
Discord.
There you go.
Yo, I am genuinely sad that I didn't see Minecraft in theaters.
Did you see it at all?
No, I didn't see it at all. Well, I think I ripped a little bit of it because I was curious. But the sheer chaos in those theaters, like I'm sad that I didn't see it in person because that does seem like a not once in a lifetime thing, but like once in a blue moon type of situation. Yeah. Like I think the last time I saw that was like Endgame, you know what I mean? When everybody's like cheering. And that was like how long ago? That was great. Yeah, that was 2019, I think, right?
Yeah, that was a hell of an experience. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so to see that happen for something so stupid, like I don't care. Like I would imagine that there's a contagiousness to that anyway. Like even if you're there, it's just like, oh, this is exciting. I don't give a shit about this chicken jockey thing, but I'm excited because everybody else around me is excited. And there's fucking popcorn flying everywhere. I saw some guy brought a chicken into the theater and was doing some crazy shit with it, which is, I wouldn't recommend. Right. But it's sad to miss out on a cultural moment like that.
There is definitely something about certain theater experiences. I think, Chris, you and I might have talked about this, that I mentioned that I saw Anchorman 2 in theaters and it was opening night and it was packed and everyone was having a great time. Like everyone was laughing and I walked out, I was like, oh, I don't know if it was good as the original, but that was fun. Like it was good. And then now everyone's like, oh, Anchorman 2 is ass. I'm like, oh, well, I've only seen it that one time in theaters. I had a great time. Maybe a lot of that was the situation and the setting. But I'm like, I'm never going to watch it again because that one experience was great. And so I don't want to know if the movie if I was so influenced by the setting I was in that it actually wasn't good, So there's like so many external factors that do
Yeah, there's
change those
a
things.
there's a contagious element to the environment in which you absorb media that seeps into your interpretation of it for sure. Like
Yeah.
I think if you saw you could probably pick like one of the lamest movies ever that has like a terrible Rotten Tomatoes, but if you filled it with actually The Room is a great example.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing The Room with obviously Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, this cult classic terrible movie. In a theater in New York City. It was a date. I brought a date to it at the time. It was her idea, by the way. It's not like my fucking idea. But we went to go see this movie with a bunch of people who were excited to see it, a bunch of people who understood what they were getting into. Tommy Wiseau was there. I have a really grainy picture of me and him together, and he signed a thing for us, and he wrote a thing to us. It was me and my girlfriend at the time, and he said, "To Gabby and Chins." Because he couldn't spell Chris, even though in his movie, there is literally a character named Chris M. But
that's awesome.
And everybody's throwing spoons at the screen, like plastic spoons at the screen whenever like a spoon shows up on camera. And it's like, you could walk out of that movie being like, that's the best theater experience I've had.
Yeah.
And therefore the movie's fantastic. And it's like, well...
I saw Troll 2 for the first time. It was a showing at a week-long music festival, but they had like a movie tent where they would show movies. And so I saw Troll 2 in a packed tent in the middle of a fucking field in Illinois. And it's probably the best. I mean, it wasn't a theater experience, but it was an experience watching a movie with people. And it was like, yeah, Troll 2 is now one of my all-time favorite movies ever. It's absolutely terrible, but it's great because of that.
That's the one with oh no, he's eating her.
Yeah.
And then he's going to eat me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the flies on him, and there's no way they planned that. I love God, Troll 2 is a wild
I've
movie.
never seen it. I just wrote it down. I have to go see it now.
The intro to that movie is crazy because like the movie starts off and it sounds like, I don't even know like what, like accordion. It's the craziest song. The song that they used to introduce Troll 2 is fucking bewildering. It is truly.
Do I have to have seen Troll 1 to understand?
No,
I'm glad you said that, Jaffe, because the director of this movie named it Troll 2 to capitalize on the success of the original Troll movie. It has nothing to do with it at all. I think it was like this Italian guy that was very dedicated to his script. And so he did not let the actors, which English is not his first language, he did not let them like ad lib or change anything. Of course, that's not the only thing wrong with the movie, but so yeah, it has nothing to do with the original Troll movie. I've never seen the original Troll movie. I don't care about it. So yeah, it's an interesting bit of the lore of it.
Yeah.
I will watch it. I like bad movies.
That'd be a good one for your Discord.
Oh yeah, no, we did a horror film festival a couple months ago, but I think we're going to do like a really awful film festival.
Oh man, you got so many things to pick from, man.
I know.
You ever seen Birdemic?
Oh yeah,
Birdemic.
My kids love that one, but there was one they showed me that I think has never been topped, which was like this something about like it was a CG animated movie about Christmas time. The something kids, the something street kids, and it was and they didn't have the money. They literally, when you make movies, you make animatics first of and so 80% of it is them just editing in the animatics, and then every now and then there's a completed couple of shots, and they've got these big names in it, like semi big names and stuff, and it makes no sense, and it's so bad. I think it's called like Bank Street Kids Christmas or something. But when somebody really delivers with saying this movie's terrible, and it makes me so happy. I'm delighted. There's a movie called Thanksgiving, which
I never saw that.
So then they didn't even do number 2, and they just went right to number 3. But Thanksgiving 1 is the greatest fucking bad schlock movie ever. It's literally a killer demonic turkey, and he cuts off this guy's face, and it's a turkey wearing the face of this guy. And the and the daughter of the guy whose face got cut off, she doesn't realize that it's not her dad. It's a turkey wearing her dad's face. It's just like
awesome.
It's so dumb, but it's great. It's great.
That sounds like a great time. I love that.
It's a wonderful, fun film. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jaffe, I mean, this is where Dagan would say, are you satisfied?
Dagan, do I look satisfied? Ever? I'm happy. Yes, thank you.
Somewhere Dagan felt a tingle. Probably in his gooch. I mean, if
somewhere trapped in the word the letter. What was it?
The printing press.
The printing press.
Yeah, he's still horrendously disfigured by this printing press, but like somewhere deep in his grundle, he felt a tingle when Dustin said that.
There you go. I am very satisfied. Thank you,
Chris.
Yeah,
let's move over to your topic. We'll kind of sandwich these more media-based topics with yours. So take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, like we've done a lot of these episodes, and at a certain point, I like sit there and I'm like, "What the fuck haven't we talked about?" And I had like a bunch of ideas, and I figured, and I was thinking at the same time, I was trying to schedule out my week. It's kind of a busy week. It's VidCon's happening right now, which is nobody gives a shit about the convention, but a lot of people are in town, and so there's a lot of plans being made, meetings being scheduled. And so like, fuck, I was trying to organize all this stuff. And it got me thinking like, do we have these specific quirks that work only for us when it comes to trying to get us on the right track? Like, do we have things that we, like what works best for us? Do we use sticky notes? Like, are we, a physical calendar person? Like I'll start things off by saying like I straight up, if it's not in front of me, I will forget it. Like I have to write a sticky note. I have a whiteboard in every room in my house, every single one of them, and all of them pertain to like a different set of things. Like this is the one on the fridge. This is like everything that I need to buy for groceries and everything that I need to fix around the apartment, and that's what that's for. So at any moment, if I'm walking by it, I'll see it, I'll remember it, I'll know it's there. And even if I choose to ignore it, I know that it's there and I know that I'm choosing to ignore it. As opposed to, I've seen people just like, hey, just use your notes app. It's like, no, because the notes app, I have to intentionally go and seek out and scroll to the right note. It's out of sight, out of mind for me, genuinely. And I don't know if it's an ADD thing or what, but like I need a physical reminder of everything that I have to. And if I don't remember to write it down, chances are I'll forget. Like there's a pretty good chance that like I have sat there. This is double true with like responding to text messages. Like people will send me a text message and I'll open it and I'll think about what I'm going to say and they'll get another notification and then I'll click the notification and then it'll send me down this rabbit hole. And by the time I remember that I haven't said anything, I'm like, I shouldn't say anything now because it's been such an awkward amount of time that I'm just going to leave this alone. That's a separate point, but the organization wise, how do we operate? Like, how do we keep ourselves on track knowing that it's very easy to procrastinate, very easy to get distracted, especially with just like, goddamn, all the notifications and everything going on and how busy life tends to be. Jaffe, I'm curious. How do you schedule yourself? If you do it all, maybe sometimes people just fly by the seat of their pants.
Well, I mean, it's my biggest, ADD is a real disability. I have it. I'm diagnosed. I'm on medicine. It has been, in some ways, it's been a really good part of my life, but it's also come at a very heavy cost. And a lot of it isn't exactly what you're talking about. I have full awareness of my inability to regulate and schedule and understand delayed gratification and executive functioning and all that stuff. So I have it particularly bad compared to someone who's just a normal person who's neurotypical. So, I mean, I'll do all the stuff, right? I have a file that is bookmarked. So whenever my computer's on, which is 98% of my life, I just click it and I have a to-do list. And I also have to-do lists written down on paper. And I have Siri remind me, Alexa remind me. And so I will use any and everything. And the whole out of sight, out of mind thing, the back of one of my bathroom doors looks moronic because it has a shoe. I don't know what they're called, but like you can buy them and it's like a thing where you hang your shoes, like you hang on
a shoe caddy, right?
Right, but it's like a plastic thing, and it hangs in the back of the door. I put all my medicine in that, and all of my toiletries in that, because if I can see it, there's a chance that I'll go, oh, I need to do that today, or that's where that thing is. If it's under a sink somewhere, it's out of sight, out of mind. So for me, it's just I do any and everything to try to remind me of things. But nothing really works because the issue for me is, I mean, it works, but it's always by the skin of my teeth, because fundamentally the issue is less about, like, I can't even worry about how to be organized, because the thing that gets in the way of that is, even if I see a list that says, okay, call the doctor to set up a physical, if that's boring for my brain at that moment, I'm going to push that and push that and push that and push that until I just can't push it anymore. And in pushing it, every time I push it, it ends up being out of sight, out of mind, and it'll probably fall off the list. And so I it's not that I'm the wrong person to ask. It's not that I don't appreciate the question, but I am so far from being able to have other than other human beings that either I have to pay or begin to resent me. That's the only thing that ever really works, is like the ex-wife calling and going, dude, you need to sign that paper. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll do it right now. Short of that, my issue is less about organization and more about simply transitioning to a task that my brain isn't interested in.
Yeah.
And I just, it's a real problem, and I don't think I'll ever solve it. I hope to get a little bit better at it every year, but I'm 54 years old, and it's a real pain in the ass. So I love the question. I've tried the apps that help you get organized with ADD and stuff.
Yeah,
None
they
of them
don't
help,
work.
because they're always built on the assumption that you are in the headspace at the moment. It's like, if I could get into the headspace when I needed to do something and my issue was organization, I wouldn't have ADD. But
right, no, yeah, exactly.
Well,
so I do,
I
relate a lot to what you're saying. Like, because even for me, like when I write, and by the way, like this is all like all these whiteboards and all these sticky notes and all these things. Like I do them to maximize my potential to remember. But like it is often still kind of like what you're saying, where it's like, I don't want to do that right now.
Right.
but there's at least there feels like there's more agency in saying I don't want to do that right now versus like remembering that I had to do it like 3 days later and being like, fuck. There's like an embarrassment there for some reason.
Well, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong. And there is a good, and even what you're saying, maybe I should put whiteboards in every room, because there's no reason not to try to tip the scale in your favor as often as you can. And certainly if I had things written in every room versus on, this piece of paper, which is a to-do list, but this may fall under the desk. But if it's all over the place. Now, here's what I can tell you. We are not that far out from having real functional AR. And suddenly that is a game changer for people like me, because if I put my glasses on and I literally see my to-do list, or when I go into the kitchen and I'm supposed to take my medicine and there's an arrow, kind of like in, a Ubisoft game, like a HUD element. I mean, that's where we're going. We're going there. And I think that is going to be an absolute game changer. But until that happens, it's sticky notes and whiteboards and notepads and little apps on my computer. And will I get to them?
At least it'll be a choice on some level. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the thing for me. Well, also the thing for me too is that the issue with to-do lists sometimes is that like I will always think about, okay, so here's the to-do list, and it'll be like the first task will be, I don't know, call this doctor or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay. The issue with me is that like that then breaks into many sub to-do lists, which is like, all right. Find the number.
Yeah.
Call, and then you'll call, and then like a new challenge will be added because you'll be redirected to somebody else, and then it just becomes like, oh my god, now it's another thing, and it branches, and then that becomes overwhelming, and then I'm like, I think I'll just clean the sink.
Right.
I'll move on to the clean the sink thing.
And the funny thing is, I mean, this is now more ADD than organization, but the funny thing is that even you have. Like, people with ADD don't understand this. It's like you have the awareness that, dude, it'll take you 5 minutes. It'll take you 3 minutes, right? Like yesterday, I've had a thing on my to-do list for 2 weeks of call the dog trainer or email the dog trainer about she was supposed to send me a recommendation for this leash. And I just kept putting it off. And for whatever reason yesterday, the reminder of needing to do it hit with the brain chemistry where I was able to do it. it took me 30 seconds to email her. And within 4 minutes, I had a response back and it was done. And that had sat on my list for about 2 weeks, just dreading this impossible task, which it really wasn't. And I mean, I think about you talk about multiverse, the world where Jaffe is able to handle his ADD better. I would probably be one of the most successful fucking people on the planet. I mean, because I am ambitious, I have skills, I have a great work ethic, but I derail myself more than I need to because of struggling with ADD. It's a real pain in the ass. I hate it. But
yeah. Well, yeah.
Are you satisfied, Chris, with my therapy?
Well, look, man, I relate to it. I totally agree.
I'm kidding. It's a nightmare, but I'm just teasing you.
What about you, Dustin? Do you find yourself getting derailed easily? Do you have like organizational tools that you use? Because I gotta say, man, like the calendar app is probably one of the least useful apps for me because it's just like out of sight, out of mind for me. But like I don't know, some people swear by it.
I find organizing my life to be either completely essential or the most annoying thing ever, because the times in my life that I've really tried to get super organized, it feels like it's like latency for getting like at some point I'm like, I'm spending as much time trying to be organized as I am actually doing something. So overall, I wish that I was more organized than I am right now. My main thing is if there's something that I absolutely cannot forget, I will do as Jaffe mentioned, where like, for example, for this show, Micah reached out to me 2 weeks ago and asked if I could do Constellation today. I was like, I'm going to forget that because I don't use a calendar app and I need to be there. Or, for any show that we plan outside of our normal schedule, like if we're like, okay, we're going to do Sacred Symbols Plus this day, I will tell Siri, I'm like, remind me on Monday at 9 p.m. I have Sacred Symbols Plus tomorrow. And that way, the night before, it's like, oh, okay, I can get in that mindset and do this, right? Which thankfully I'm able to do that because as far as weekdays, for the most part, it's like there's very rarely like weird things scheduled. I have a pretty consistent weekday thing. The tough part, I mean, the organization of our content is probably the toughest thing for me in general, because as the person who is editing and scheduling and managing all of that, it can be very tough. In fact, I've noticed that what happens to me is that I'm pretty good about our like not making any mistakes when our schedule is consistent and I feel organized, because you could wake me up from a dead sleep at 3 a.m. and I could probably tell you our entire schedule and what comes out when, and all the related tasks that need to be done for each individual show. Like I am so, at this point, from doing it for years, I have it down. But as soon as anything changes in that schedule, like, oh, we got to record this a little early, a little late, fucking chaos for my brain. That's when I need to start writing stuff down. That it's like, oh, well, we did this slightly different. And so that means that normally when I'm doing something else, I'm going to be doing this. And then it's like a snowball effect of fucking up can happen. So I try to like be as organized as I need to, I guess, because like I said earlier, like I fucking hate, like, I think it was my dad was like, so what do you guys use at Last Stand to like stay organized? Like, do you guys use Asana or something like that? I'm like, what? He's like, or, you use this business organization, whatever. I'm like, no, like honestly, it's kind of crazy that we are as consistent as we are, because our organization for Last Stand is Discord and emails, but there's no, like, we don't have a company calendar or anything like that. It's like mostly like in my head, which is, I think I have, I have pinned in our Discord, I made a nice image of our schedule the last time it changed. So every once in a while, like particularly if something changes, I'll go and I'll reference that schedule to make sure. But yeah, I wish I was more organized. And dude, the problem too is I've only been talking about work stuff.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like I have to use so much of my brain power to stay organized with work that the rest of my life will become chaos. That's part of the problem where I wish I was more organized, because I feel like I have to be so organized for work that then when it comes, it's like, oh, you haven't called the doctor yet. You haven't mowed the lawn yet. You haven't done these things. I'm like, I haven't even thought about that for 4 days. And I should have done that 7 days ago or something,
right.
you know? So I just wish, I feel like I'm jealous of people that it seems to come naturally to. It's like, oh, once you start doing it, you just set up your calendar. And then when something comes up, you add it. And then you can look and see what your schedule is. I'm like, man, that all sounds amazing. But then when it comes to, it's back to the latency thing where it's like, oh, I should organize and put that on a calendar or do that. But I really need to do this right now. So I'll just remember.
Yeah.
And thankfully, for the most part, I am okay at that. But I'm also not. So I'm very jealous of organized people. I wish I could be more, but I'm just
me too,
not.
man.
You know what?
I cosplay organized. You know what I mean? Like I have like a filing cabinet with a bunch of fucking envelope, like, you know, folders in it.
Yeah.
They're kind of organized. You know, like sometimes I'll like, oh, this is mail. I'll put that in there. Like it'll probably end up in the right spot. So I know at some point I'm gonna have to go in and organize the fuck out of that file cabinet, because it's like it's only like the visual of it. It's only there so that I don't have a pile of papers. You know what I mean? Stressing me out all the time on like a desk somewhere.
Right.
But what were you gonna say, Jaffe? I cut you off.
Well, no. I was just thinking, in some ways, it's actually, if you kind of take a 30,000 foot view of it, or maybe a sociological or biological view of it, maybe it's actually a gift in some ways, because fundamentally, like when you were talking, Dustin, about, there's a Sacred Symbols Plus coming up tomorrow. That's new. And you'll tell Siri, remind me this, that, and the other. And, you know, it's almost like it does allow you to shine a light on what you really care about. Like maybe what it is the stuff you get done and the stuff that you remember to do, or to remember to do, is the stuff that matters. So should I wash my car more or take my car to the car wash? I should, but I don't really care. My car hasn't been washed in a car wash since 2020. I don't give a shit about the way my car looks. It's a 2003 gray Corolla. What the fuck do I care if there's some bird shit on the front? You know what I'm saying? So I get the fact that there is this sort of societal definition of what you need to do, but maybe what the gift of it is, if there is a gift in it, is clearly for you, being there for Sacred Symbols Plus matters enough to break you out of the complacency. You know, being there enough so that when it's your anniversary, assuming that matters to you, I'm sure it does, that's going to break me out of my complacency, and I need to do something to make sure I don't forget Wednesday night is this thing we're doing, right? But everything else, maybe it's kind of our psyche's way of telling us what we care about. We lost Chris.
We lost Chris.
We got a little bit too close to the truth, and he couldn't handle it.
Okay, we're back. We lost Chris for a second. But Jaffe, you were.
I was just saying that perhaps in some ways it can be viewed as a bit of a gift,
right?
Which I know is kind of, I'm not trying to flower it up, but it does allow you to focus and go, well, this is clearly what I care about. So like I was saying, for you, being there for Sacred Symbols Plus, for whatever reason, good, bad, or otherwise, I'm sure it's good. is important enough for you to go, I have to emerge from my complacency or my programming and go, I need to tell Siri, or,
Right.
you know, and so, you know, maybe that's actually if, and I'm just speaking of myself, I'm just coming to this realization as we talk, but you know, maybe what I should do is go through my list and go, do I really give a shit? Because if it's on my list for more than 3 days, I probably don't give a shit. And so get your list pared down as absolutely much as possible, because you're not going to do it anyway, or it's going to drive you crazy until you do it. It doesn't mean there aren't some things that you need to do. It's not so much do only the fun things, but I know I need to pay my bills. So I pay my bills. I don't like it, but they get paid. Right. But I know it's maybe that's the difference. What I have to do to maintain the life I want, and what I am told by society I should do. Right. Yeah. I should wash my car. I should X, Y, and Z. But you know what? I care more about this. So thanks brain for letting me in a roundabout way know what's important to me. I mean, I'm not saying that should work 100% of the time, but maybe there is at least a percentage of that thinking that maybe would be kinder to me if I applied that to myself.
Right. Yeah. The two things about like setting the reminder for sacred symbols and the importance of that. First of all, I mentioned the latency thing a few times. The fact that I can just like hold a button on my phone and speak to it for 10 seconds, dude, if that didn't exist, I would still probably type in and say like, remind me this time. But then it's like, did I put the right time in? Did I put AM or PM correctly? Am I reminding myself at the right time? The fact that I can just tell it is amazing. Like I love, and I'm not even like, dude, I don't use Siri that often, but when I do, it's like, okay, this is really all I need it for, is like set this reminder. And that's been helpful. Probably part of it too, this is kind of a funny thing. I have thought before about when I first started working for Colin and I was just editing episodes for him. I can't remember the exact conversation we were talking about. Cause he had a hard time like bringing someone on to do stuff for him early on. I think he said something. He's like, yeah, if you had kind of messed up on those first few episodes, you would have been gone. I'm like, oh, so now it's funny because Colin always says that I can do literally anything because he always says I'm unfireable. So maybe we have each other by the balls by a little bit. You know, maybe we're just lightly cupping each other.
Yeah, mutually assured destruction.
Assured destruction. That's one way to put it, certainly. So, but yeah, the issue comes in, and I totally agree, Jaffe. There's things that it's like, I'm not remembering that or making it important because it's not important. But where I fuck up is that there are things that aren't actively important, but they should be. Like
what?
I should go to the doctor for this, or I should mow my lawn, or something, like things that it's like, those actually. Okay,
but why should you mow your lawn? Why should that be important? Maybe it's not to you.
It's not, but it's like I have to. If I don't mow my lawn, my yard's going to look like shit. And that's where it starts to become important. It's like, first of all, if all the houses around me and my house looks like shit, that'll make me feel bad. And in the most extreme case, if you just don't mow your lawn ever, I'll get a fine for it from the city. That's like, mow your shit, you know?
Yeah. But all of those things, you know, I assume I'm not saying you're wrong about the reasons that you're doing things, but I'm saying maybe there's a middle ground there then, which is, okay, well, if the only reason you're doing this thing is because of shame and because of a fine, which probably won't be that much, maybe you should just hire a guy to mow your lawn.
Yeah. That's a possibility. I think more so it's like the doctor thing, though, where it's like, let's say, for example, and the audience knows about this, my thumb has been fucked up for, I don't know. It got really bad when Hades came out. That's when I really activated the injury because I stoved it on a skateboard when I was a teenager.
Right.
When I was playing Hades and tapping the button over and over, it started to like burn and feel weird. And something is like, actually, you can even see it. Like it's weird. I probably should get that fixed because it's probably like, if it's not set right, I could be building up arthritis in my thumb. But that's not happening right now.
That's right.
It's manageable. So 5 to 10 years from now, I might be like, yeah, Dustin, you should have got that fucking figured out, because now you're wishing you would have.
Yeah. And there are those scenarios. But for me, as I've gotten older, I have found, like, I read a study yesterday that said marijuana use, there was a huge study, like the biggest study ever. And not just smoking it, but edibles really does harm to blood vessels. And I'm like, I don't care, frankly. And it's not that I want to die earlier than I could. I'd love to live a very, very, very long life. But there is a point where you start to weigh those things and go, yeah, but marijuana brings me a lot of pleasure. So if I lose 5 years out of my life because I don't smoke it every day, it's like once a week I'll have some marijuana. Okay. I'm good with that. I think the idea of, I'm not saying you shouldn't see a doctor because arthritis would suck in 10 years. You're still young. But there are those things, I think, where you have to kind of go, I keep thinking back to this documentary I saw once about this guy who really wanted to live as long as possible. He was a scientist and he was like 90 and he looked great and he, all this, but they said, what's your diet? And every day it was just a massive bowl of lettuce. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if that's all you're going to eat, but I don't want to be 100 and every day I eat the front lawn and that's how I do it. I mean, how bad can death be? I'm sure there's some good stuff over there. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. But I'm just saying that I think you're right about the arthritis point. But I think that maybe is what makes it even harder, is like, how do you know which things you really genuinely will regret? And which things, if you really stopped and thought about it, the freedom you're getting now is worth what you're going to pay for it 20 years from now. That's, I think, the hard math to do in real time. I don't know the answer.
Yeah. I've thought about it because I think, to get real deep, I think that there's part of me that is afraid to have surgery because I've only had my wisdom teeth out. So like part of it is fear.
Wait. Now I'm confused. Why are you afraid of surgery for your thumb? What?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
It's not even just I could go in and have surgery and I wouldn't be like, petrified, but it's like the thought of like, okay, well, I have to have this surgery and I won't be able to use my hand for who knows how long. I think when I talked to somebody about it, it was like going to be months. I'm like, okay, I can kind of work. And I mean, we figured, like, I've been on vacation before here at Last Stand, but it was like quite a to-do to have people cover for me. So it's like,
okay, but you're not scared of the surgery itself, is what I'm saying. The going into the doctor and getting the work done. You're talking about the result of the aftermath, is what you mean.
I think there's a little bit of fear of like the pain afterwards and the annoyance. Like, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm
not saying it's not logical. I'm just trying to figure out where the part is. Because when you said it, it sounded like you were afraid of having the surgery. Like, I don't want to be put under, or I don't want to this, that, or the other. And it sounds like, no, it's all the stuff that comes from it, which is...
I think it's a combination of all those things. Because I think I would feel afraid. Like when the rubber hits the road and I'm like walking into the hospital to go have surgery, I would feel very uncomfortable. I would do it.
You would be nervous getting wheeled into that cold ass room is a little, it's not like the most nervous I've ever been, but like it can be nerve wracking to be in that position. Even if slightly,
it's like the whole idea, like, okay, well, you're not going to feel this. We're going to put a mask on you that you're going to immediately fall asleep. And then when you wake up,
that particular surgery is probably not. My brother had something similar and he was awake for the whole thing. But you're right.
Oh.
If it was that, continue. I'm sorry.
That's fucking way scarier to me. Like I would absolutely rather be put under than fucking have to have. I woke up during surgery once and it was like a fucking weird, and I passed out immediately. And it was just like, that's not fun. That's not fun. That's not fun even slightly.
They put me out for my wisdom teeth, and I mean, that was I didn't like wake up or anything. And there was nothing about it that was traumatic, but I mean, I'm not going to say it was a pleasant experience.
Of course,
I love being put under. I think it's intellectually fascinating because you're like boom, and then it's time travel. It is literally your closest we're ever going to experience time travel. You're just out and you're back. There is no sleepy, there is no dream, there is no gap. I count backwards 5, 4, out, and now it's 4 hours later.
It is fucking crazy.
And don't not get a colonoscopy when they tell you need one, because they're delightful. The drugs you get, make sure you get the drugs. If you get the drugs, I told the doctor, he's like, you're fine, clean as a whistle. I'm like, should I come back next year? He's like, nah, like in 6, 7, 8 years. I'm like, I can come back tomorrow. I mean, I wanted those drugs so bad. I think it's the stuff that killed Michael Jackson, but it given in the right dose, holy cow, you've never felt so good in your life. So don't not do the colonoscopy. You'll love it. But I hear you on the other stuff. I hear you. It ain't easy being us. Huh? We got it rough, boys.
Yeah. This is the worst experience anybody's going through, especially right now.
It sucks, man. We have pretty easy access to healthcare. It might be expensive, but it is fun. It's so sad. We have access to healthcare and we just choose not to use it. So that's good. But
somebody's listening. Think about this. Somebody might be listening to this right now. Their car is flipped over. They're bleeding out in a ditch. They know this is the end, and they can't turn off the podcast. And we're just like, me, make them. Jaffe doesn't want to clean his car. But we're all going to hell. The three of us, we're all going to hell.
On the off chance that is happening, hey, listener in the car, flipped over, bleeding out.
Don't forget, you can still get your merch before you pass away.
Yeah, laststandmedia.store.
Yeah, laststandmedia.store.
Buy Hubroxia now.
That's right.
His fingers are twitching.
You can still cancel that kind of funny Patreon and bring us the additional money over here.
Yeah, up your tier before you pass away.
Yeah.
We'll get at least a couple months of extra income before your family realizes what the fuck's going on.
Sorry, what were you going to say to this poor soul before I made it very, very bad?
It was basically that, actually. It was equivalent. That was where I was going with it. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess, I don't know if, that went off in a lot of different areas, which I'm happy about, because quite frankly, I picked this topic with the assumption that it would veer into more interesting places. So I'm happy with where we ended up.
Cool. All right, then. Oh,
what the?
Jaffe's the only person that can make that work.
That's because
on his Zoom.
That's only because I could tell he was satisfied. And since you weren't going to ask him, I wanted Dagan somewhere, wherever he is, to know that satisfaction had been achieved.
Right. He's on his way to the hospital now. He's in the ambulance after the degloving. And
he's in the ambulance, but it's a specialized ambulance that could also, because he's still stuck in the printing press as well. So like they're transporting the printing press in the ambulance.
And somehow the manifesto is still printing that he was printing. So it's like his final thoughts are still coming out on the paper.
Yeah. It's actually the Federalist Papers printed in every language. So it's going to be printing for a while.
That sounds like that would be what Colin would do if he was stuck in the printing press. I don't think that's a Dagan. Dagan's probably doing like, let me give you an episode guide of every episode of Ren and Stimpy. That's more, Dagan's
there you
speed,
go. The transcript for all of Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ren and Stimpy, my final topic is Hideo Kojima.
Perfect segue.
So we are so close to the release of Death Stranding 2. Some members of our team, I know Gene is playing it right now. I don't know if anyone else is, but it's exciting to have a new Kojima game coming soon. And so I wanted to ask you guys what you thought or your experiences playing Hideo Kojima games. And I have some particular questions for you, Jaffe. But to start out, I mean, of course, Metal Gear Solid. That's like the game. That's the Kojima game. I remember playing this game not when it came out. I think it was in 2001 or 2 that I played. Metal Gear Solid. And so I was just a wee young lad in first grade, second grade, probably shouldn't have been playing Metal Gear Solid yet. But I remember just being so amazed by the open-endedness of the gameplay in particular. Like, oh, well, you could go and punch these guys, or you could knock them out with like a tranquilizer gun, or you could just sneak around completely. And just also the storytelling elements of it. I mean, obviously we had stories in games before that. And for me being in first grade, I wasn't able to see the full impact of what a movie-like game was and how important that was to have these types of experiences. But I remember that game so vividly, being so into it. Of course, Metal Gear Solid 2 coming out. And by the way, I had no idea who Hideo Kojima was. I didn't give a single fuck about who made any game at that point. And so Metal Gear Solid 2, I remember playing the demo, of course, in Zone of the Enders, playing that demo over and over again. I didn't get it when it came out, but I remember hearing that people did not like it. But I did not care. Eventually played it, didn't understand a single fucking thing because I was probably in third or fourth grade at that point. What year was Metal Gear Solid 2? 2000? That was 4, 5?
No, that was 2005 was more like, that was 3. I think 2 was 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I think.
Not
2001
sure.
or 2002.
I was still a young lad.
The demo, though, was on the boat with Snake. So you didn't know you were getting the switcheroo yet in the demo, right? So,
and honestly, I didn't even really care.
I didn't care either, but a lot of people.
I mean, I think I thought it was cool, but it wasn't like I'm not playing this game as Snake. And then, of course, Metal Gear Solid 3, played some of that. I wasn't as into it. And I think it was more around Metal Gear Solid, like post Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4. That's when it's like, oh, there's a guy behind this. He puts his name all over it. Hideo Kojima. What's his next game going to be like? Metal Gear Solid 4, of course. And as I got older and started playing more games, like realizing like, oh, like this guy kind of has a specific style that is different from other games. Some of it good, some of it kind of weird, some of it maybe a little cheesy in certain lights. But it's been interesting in like now as an adult, having played, of course, Death Stranding, Metal Gear Solid 5, of course, the whole PT fiasco, that it's like Kojima for those like really into games is like one of the most famous names in gaming. And we now have this, I guess, like this idea of the auteur game director. We have like a few of them, like Kojima, of course, Ken Levine, I would say, is in that boat. Neil Druckmann, maybe to some extent as well, where it's like, oh, we know, not only do we know like what this game is, what team is making it, but it's like there is often like a name attached, like, oh, this is this person's next game. They have a very defined style. And I was even thinking, I've been replaying Death Stranding. I think I probably will beat it again this weekend. And I was thinking like, man, on Sacred Symbols, we joke about being Kojima glazers. Like we love Death Stranding. Not that he can do no wrong, but it's like, yeah, we are paying attention anytime he does something. I was thinking like, man, there's like hundreds of people that made this game. And oftentimes, myself included, it's like, oh, look at Kojima's greatness with this. So it's kind of created an interesting dynamic with, it's like, we've kind of just so closely associate these games with this singular person, despite there being, in the early days, dozens, and now hundreds of people that work on them. So with Death Stranding 2 coming out, of course, been thinking about him as a creator. And of course, dude, like the crazy things that now looking back on some of these games that I played as a kid, like, I mean, particularly Metal Gear Solid 2, which, as I said, I did not really understand a lot of it. When I replayed through it either last year or the year before, I was like, holy shit. How Like, how did this guy, how was he able to predict so many of the things that are happening now in terms of like social media, the way information is spread around, the control of information? It's insane. So I think he's gotten a lot, like he deserves a lot of the praise that he's gotten for the different themes, the way he makes those games. So throwing this over to you guys, and I guess I wanted to ask you, Jaffe, first. What do you think about Kojima? Have you ever interacted with him in your days as a game developer? And most importantly, what I wanted to ask you is this idea of like the auteur game director, because I think in some ways when people think of Twisted Metal, particularly now, maybe not then, they think David Jaffe.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've met him once. I met him at the very first, Tommy Tallarico's, whatever it was, the live concerts, the very first one. Right. We barely talked, but he came up and was very nice about God of War and stuff. And I remember he said, "Oh, we should talk about your team making a Castlevania game." And then I got like on his Christmas list, and for a few years, he or his assistant were sending me things, which was nice. But I don't have a lot of interaction with him other than those two stories. So, I love Metal Gear, probably one of my top 10 franchises. I loved 1, 2. I'm very much looking forward to Delta because I never finished Snake Eater. It came out 2005, right around when God of War did. And I was so busy with God of War stuff that I could only play a little bit, but I liked it. I played Sons of the Patriots. I love that. And that's kind of where it ended. I didn't play 5. I played Death Stranding 1 for about 3 hours, and I really liked it. Like I thought that even though I don't like long cutscenes, I thought the cutscenes were really good. It was a very interesting world. Even the gameplay, which seemed like something that would bore me to tears, when I was in the right headspace, I was like, okay, this is really interesting and engaging. But it felt like too much of a commitment, and still does. Mm-hmm. And it just, it wasn't so compelling. I wanted to stick with it. And then the new one looks great, but I probably won't play it, even though I hear it's got more action and stuff. Cause I'm like, I don't really, even though I know there's supposed to be like a recap of the first game, if you didn't play the first game, I'm like, I'm good. It's too much of an investment. I don't want to sit around and watch hours of cutscenes and blah, blah, blah. So, PT I thought was amazing visually. I've never seen a game in my life at the time. I remember me and some Sony execs were looking at it and going, how is this real? Like it looked like fucking real footage. I didn't think it was that amazing of a game. I thought there were some moments in it, like when she's peering at you over the staircase and stuff. Right. But fundamentally it was nonsensical. I guess maybe it was supposed to be, but it still doesn't really make a lot of sense to me how you quote beat that game. It seems almost semi-random, and maybe that's part of its charm. I don't know. I remember hearing about him first with this Game Boy Advance game he did where you had to be outside with the light, which I thought was really clever. So that was the first time he kind of pinged my radar, like, oh, that's cool. And then I remember the Sega CD game Snatcher, which I didn't play, but I remember people talking about it in magazines like it was really cool. So I consider myself a fan of the guy, but I think he's a little off-putting to me because his obsession with myth building, and I think it like that documentary that was on Hulu about him was just so self-congratulatory. I don't know if you saw this, but it was just like, long lingering shots of just him thinking, what is in the visionary's mind? It's just such a performative media creation that it bothers me. He's so bought in on it that he's so, I think we're in a different era now of more genuine connection from creator to fan, that it just feels like it's this sort of, I don't buy it, I guess is what I'm saying. And I don't buy it for those reasons. I don't buy it for the reasons you say, even though I do think there's definitely brilliance in a lot of the stuff he brings. Also, his teams bring a lot, and he does take a lot of it doesn't that he takes credit from others, but he allows the light to shine only on him. to the point that make a documentary about me, right? And that's whatever, but I don't. I think the praise isn't always warranted. Like I put him in the same bucket that I put Suda51 in. I think Kojima's games are better, but I think they're both kind of like from my generation guys who basically were aping filmmakers. And because there was nobody in games doing it, they got to ride the coattails. And I was one of these people. I did as well. I ripped off movies left and right, but because nobody knew what I was ripping off, oh, that's Jaffe's vision. Well, okay, sure. But Twisted Metal Black is basically me ripping off Seven from David Fincher, right? There's nothing about Twisted Metal Black that exists without Seven, right? Or certain kinds of horror movies, okay? That doesn't mean that we didn't do a great job making those games. I love those games, and I love a lot of Kojima's games. Suda's new game looks amazing. I hope it plays as good as it looks. The Romeo Must Die or Mr. whatever it's called that they just put out.
Romeo's a Dead Man, I think.
Romeo's a Dead Man or whatever. So I have no ill will towards him or his work, but I do find the myth building off-putting. I find the idea that Kojima was ahead of everyone on things that he said in his games it doesn't land for me because, yeah, if he was the first guy to come up with the idea of what a meme was and he predicted that this was going to be what they were, sure. But that was in futurist books for years before, Kojima probably just read a bunch of these books and applied that, which is nothing wrong with that. And he was the delivery mechanism to get a lot of people to recognize that. And that's great. That's an achievement. That's not a knock against the guy. But the idea that he had this awareness of where the world was going, and it was only through Kojima that we were prepared for things like DNA stuff and strands and me. It's a lot of, I think the best game designers right now are not, I think it's Miyazaki at From. I think Miyamoto, not anymore, but certainly what he laid down. I think if you really want to talk auteurs, I think you can find them in the indie space because you're talking about 1 to 3 people that make a game and that's it. And so whatever you think about those games, they may be great, they may be bad. That is as close as you're going to get to that essence of that creator. When you're now talking about, hundreds of millions of dollars and 100, 500, 600, 800 plus studios sizes, depending on outsourcing and stuff, I think a lot of it's manufactured, and I wish more people and more gamers I know people in the comments are going to say this, and this is not what I'm saying. Miyamoto's great. Kojima's great. I love Metal Gear. I think the Death Stranding games are great, even though they're not for me. I think he's a great talent and he deserves a lot of the success, if not all the success he's had. But I think the collective spooging all over the man's face is probably not merited, and it's a little cringy. That's what I would say.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like when I sometimes see, like you mentioned that documentary, and sometimes when I see the way Kojima presents himself, it is a bit much, where it's like, okay, that's the problem, is like, I think that I'm like, man, this guy is amazing. I think he's done amazing things, but I don't like how he knows it in some ways and kind of like fully embraces that aspect of it. Like, I find that a little off-putting as well. Jaffe, what do you think about, and obviously we'll get Chris in here too, but I wanted to ask you about the idea of people attributing God of War, Twisted Metal, and associating your name, because you kind of have some of that as well. Yeah. But I
chased it. I curated it. I wanted it badly. And so when those opportunities presented themselves, I took them. Sure. And I do think those games, just like maybe Metal Gear 1, maybe 2, are a little different, because I do think that, like, people ask me all the time, it's like, aren't you upset that you're not, they're not calling you about the God of War series? And I'm really not, because I loved God of War. God of War was very much a part of me, and my stamp is all over it. But to me, Twisted Metal is more, I think, a reflection of sort of who I am and who I was at the time, and in a lot of ways still am. And so I do think, because you had a smaller team size, you can still point to people. You can point to me, Scott Campbell, Kellen Hatch. On God of War, you can point to me and Corey and Eric and Derek. There's more people because the team was bigger. But to say that Kojima or me or Ken Levine or any of these people of that generation, the teams were small enough that we still were accurately credited as this was the, if not one of the very biggest creative, emotional, conceptual drivers of the IP. But the idea that I always make it clear when people say thank you, a lot of people now, because I'm older and they came up with our games, will say thank you for my childhood or this, that, or the other. Any stream you watch when people say that, it's not because I'm trying to be, oh, I'm modest. Don't think about it like that. It's like, I'll take my flowers and I deserve some flowers, but it's not all me. And I don't know about that with Kojima. I can't say. Maybe they all walk in to work every Monday in Japan and go, okay, we're short order cooks, Mr. Kojima. If we could just be extra hands for you, we would, but we're real people. But just tell us your vision and we will do our best. Because that's how that documentary made it seem. And I hate shit like that. I hated the God of War Raising Kratos documentary because of that. They capture, it's very manipulative. It's not reflective of at least my experience with the process. And I think it sends a damaging kind of signal out there to how collective creative work gets done.
Right. It in contrast, mentioning some of these like modern game development documentaries, and Chris, I know you know about these, is the Halo documentaries, like when Halo 2 was in production and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those always have a sense of a community of developers building that game. It's like, oh, we're talking to the animation guy and how these animations work. And this is the one of the writers and how this came together. It never felt like, oh, Halo is one
guy.
Here's the director and how he's presenting his vision and everyone gets in line.
Yeah. They always presented Jason Jones as like kind of like there's like an idea that Jason Jones was like the head or like kind of like the guiding ship, but it really like at the same time, like he's really not super relevant like to those documentaries at all. Like he has like some things that he would say, like I think his only direction for Halo 2 was like 3 lines of dialogue that he wanted in the game, and then he just said go. And then you have this great team of people. What I love about the Halo 2 documentary specifically is that it's the exact opposite of Raising Kratos. It's like the exact opposite of any of those like self-congratulatory things. It's like the whole thing about everything about that documentary is them stressing out and like they're depressed and they're angry and they're snapping at each other and they're like, it's kind of incredible. Like I love the transparency. That documentary was probably one of the earliest things that pushed me in the direction of like wanting to make video or like wanting to do movie stuff. Because I was like, I didn't even care about like being a director or whatever. Like I wanted to do film because it would be so cool to get a job as like the video guy for like a developer like that and just to capture all this shit. Like that would be so cool. Like I would love to be able to do that. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. As far as Kojima goes, like I was pretty late to the Kojima thing, honestly. Like I didn't really play Metal Gear Solid 1 at the time. The PS1 was mostly, it was Crash Bandicoot. It was Spyro. It was a lot of platformers for me. And I wasn't really into action games at that time, or like, any game that was trying to be realistic in any sense. I didn't really care that much about. And I think really my first introduction to him was Metal Gear Solid 4, and I hated it. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't finish it. It was like so many cutscenes in a row, and I was like, I don't know I'm playing as this old guy and to be fair, like I had no context for any of it.
Right.
I remember cousins of mine playing MGS2 back in the day, and I remember being like transfixed by it. I thought it was cool, but like he never let me play it. And so I was really late to it. And so by the time Death Stranding was coming out, I was actually ready to kind of poo-poo it. Like I was kind of like, I don't know if I get this guy. Like, I don't know if I get this guy's games. Like I know that they're important and I knew things about them that were like really forward thinking and really interesting. Like the Psycho Mantis, memory card thing. And like the put the controller on the floor. Like I think it's really cool shit. Like, and it's unbelievably interesting. And there's no doubt that that's creative and genius and whatever. But like when Death Stranding was coming out and the trailers were coming out, and it was just Norman Reedus walking. I remember being excited for that game to come out because I thought like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this guy down a peg or two because this looks pretentious and dumb. And in fairness, it is pretentious.
And it is dumb in some parts.
It is kind of dumb. But I kind of fell in love with Death Stranding 1 immediately, like within the first 5 minutes. And that was surprising to me because I went in almost with the exact opposite goal, which to be fair is a very immature goal. It's not like the goal that you should ever approach anything from. That was earlier on in the show, I think, also when I was still kind of getting used to this. And I was kind of more like in the YouTuber kind of like, let's
but to be fair to that position, if I may interrupt briefly,
sure.
You make your bed, right? If you're gonna put out a bunch of pretentious shit,
right,
and you're gonna act like your response to pretentious shit is beneath a professional, it's like, well, then don't fucking release a documentary of the creator staring off into the water with a slow melodic, and act. I mean, it's, you fucking, you get what you deserve, Murray, if I may go back to the Joker. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't know. I acknowledge that it's like, whatever. You're just kind of excited to shit on shit. And that's kind of the thing that's true of everything now, especially online. Like negativity is very easy. It's very fun. It's very profitable. It's very engagement driving. And you don't even necessarily, not that I was necessarily thinking about it that way, but definitely seeped in almost like in reverse. And so I remember starting Death Stranding and kind of immediately being impacted. Like, oh, this is different. And this is something that I was not expecting it to be. And I think in many ways, I think Death Stranding is actually like the most brilliant thing he's made. Personally, like I think Metal Gear is great. I love it. I beat Metal Gear Solid 2 on the Vita and I loved it. And I'm excited for Delta. I still haven't actually finished the first one, but I'm looking forward to trying the fourth one again. I actually went and revisited 5 again after Death Stranding and found that I really appreciated it as well because there's a lot of meta narrative there about like, the gamification of militarism. I think it's like really interesting and how it gets you in the way that game gets you thinking like a sociopath is really fucking interesting and really cool. You're just like, oh, I got to take that guy because he's got like A+ skill in this and he could be a great addition to my military. I'm going to walk up to him and I'm going to, knock him out and then I'm going to Fulton him. I'm going to conscript him into my private military. And he's just a number to me, like whatever. I just want my numbers to go up so I can research this new gun that I can play with. I think that element of Metal Gear Solid 5, I think, is genuinely brilliant and really, really interesting. I could give a fuck about like the characters and like the story happening, but like that meta narrative that's happening that the gameplay systems like get you to think about is really fucking interesting. And I totally missed that on the first try. I didn't really care about. I didn't really fuck with the menus at all. I didn't engage with the building up the military kind of aspect to it. I played it more like it was like a standard action game, and I missed a lot of intelligent game design there. When I first played it. And Death Stranding, what's so special to me is like the way that it takes this thing that is taken for granted in every video game, which is just like moving forward and walking, traversing terrain, and makes you think about every step and makes you like examine like, okay, so that I'll do my scan and that's a more slippery surface. I'm going to avoid it. And I remember this feeling vividly of like climbing a mountain in Death Stranding and then climbing down the other side of it and looking back and seeing the mountain behind me. And it didn't feel like I was looking at a mountain. It felt like I was looking at like the aftermath of a boss battle. It felt like I was looking at like the giant defeated corpse of like some demon that I had to fight. You know what I mean? Like that the way that it takes the environment and makes it an enemy or an ally or anything is super clever. I think it's interesting. It was revelatory for me. I don't really know how they're going to. I'm excited for Death Stranding 2 for a lot of reasons. I don't think there's a chance in hell, personally, that it's going to hit me in the same way the first game did, because I think that surprise is gone, knowing that I can feel that from a game where you're just hiking. Like, I know that now. And so,
okay,
go ahead.
So, no, but I mean, this kind of leads to sort of what for me is and again, I know the comments are probably going to think I'm negative on Kojima. I enjoyed a lot of what I played about Death Stranding, and I imagine if I played the whole thing, if I made the time, I'd love it. Same with 2. 2 looks fascinating. But
Sure.
what you're describing right there, a lot of console gamers, especially that maybe listen to the shows like this, are very, it's PlayStation, it's the AAA stuff. Every now and then they'll dip their toe into an indie. What you're describing is Mud Runner, which has been out since like 2009, which is basically, it's you scan the environment, you see the terrain, you see where you can get, where you can't, where you might slide. How do I, every time you get over an area, especially with your truck that you're hauling stuff and you haven't damaged it, that is the core loop of Death Stranding. And instead, but my point, the reason it bothers me is that now we're attributing that idea to Kojima. It's like, it's a Mud Runner. That's Mud Runner.
I think there's a pretty distinct. It's not just that though.
Again, no, I know. I'm not knocking the rest of it, and I'm not even knocking him lifting that if he did indeed do it. I'm talking about that. I'm back to the myth building. I'm not saying it wasn't a great thing to put in Death Stranding. I'm saying that it's the idea, even when you talk about it, now somebody listening who doesn't necessarily have the education of these other games because they don't play them, they're not that well versed in other games except the big ones, they would just believe, no, you don't understand. Kojima was literally able to take a mountain and turn just a mountain into what felt like a boss battle. And it becomes romanticized and poetic, and fundamentally it's horseshit when it comes to that narrative. I'm not saying your take is horseshit and your love of it is horseshit, but it's the myth building that I really hate about this guy, frankly.
Yeah, well, again, I do think it's more about everything building on top of each other. Like, I do think, like, sure, like, that's... I mean, I've played Mud Runner. I did not get that feeling at all. I didn't care. I didn't care about the terrain. I knew that it was something to overcome, but I didn't give a shit about it. It was just like, that's okay. This is what the game is. I think what's interesting about Death Stranding is that, like, it presents itself as the exact opposite kind of game. Like, it presents itself like, okay, it's a third person action game on the face value of it, right? And so, like, you're expecting a certain type of loop, and the fact that it doesn't give that to you, and there is that balance kind of thing thrown in there, and there's like the way that it pulls the camera back, and the music kind of complements the scenery, and then it flows back. It's like, it's very well directed, and I think that's the key difference between something like just a one gameplay mechanic and something like, that's what I'm saying. I would never want anyone to think what I'm saying is Mud Runner's Death Stranding. I'm not saying that. And I would also, I do want to say, I don't think there's a single gameplay mechanic that you're going to see post 1999, quite frankly, that is not from something else. Like, genuinely, like, I can't remember the last time I saw something genuinely unique until I saw like a 3D camera for the first time. Everything I could point to something else.
Right. It's not that I think that's necessary, but when you're ascribing that to Kojima is where I go, yeah, why would you ascribe it to him? Because you're basically doing that to someone who's you are absolutely right. The core nuts and bolts mechanic of terrain navigation, without all of the fluff and filler and artistry that Kojima brought to it in Death Stranding, it is, quote, just a game. Whether that's good or bad is your mileage will vary. I absolutely agree with you that part of the genius and part of the greatness of Stranding is him taking a lot of these elements and putting them together in the way that he did. I'm just saying that for me, my dander got raised only because you were talking about that one element in a very poetic way. And I'm like, that seems like more of the same stuff that I think is really an unfair kudos to this guy. And I think that's why,
I think the other thing too is that the competitive cooperative nature of like what you do and how, like, leaving a ladder for someone and then like that ladder either hindering or helping somebody, and like you not knowing who did that, but knowing that it was placed there by somebody. I think that's like a really interesting.
Agree.
I don't know. Like, there was a lot of things in that game like thrown together at the same time, combined with artistry and like obviously a well-directed kind of vibe. I think Death Stranding is primarily vibe, actually. Mm-hmm. Like, I think like playing that game is just like very serene. But Yeah, I don't know. It was a very brilliant kind of game for me. I loved it. And again, I went into that game expecting to hate it, wanting to hate it. And that's usually a very easy, it's very difficult to pull somebody out of that because games are very hateable, dude. Like there's so many games that I play where I'm like,
oh, I know, I've made some.
There's games that I play, man, and I'm just like, even great ones that I know are like, really highly regarded. I'll play the first 15 minutes and I'm like, this isn't doing shit for me.
Right.
And then I'll just turn it off.
What do you think about, and I don't know because you guys know people who are playing it, that Death Stranding 2 is going to amp up more of the action in sort of more of a attempt to maybe make it a little more commercial? Is that a real thing or is that just the internet talking, or do you guys have any insight on that?
Honestly, I mean, I was at the premiere event at Summer Game Fest and I saw a very little amount of gameplay, but overall, I don't know conceptually like what Death Stranding 2 even is. Like I know it's the continuation. I know from what I played of the first game, but I honestly don't know if it's more action. So I've been kind of avoiding those things completely. But we'll know pretty soon. I feel like it's probably not. I mean, we talked about this on Sacred yesterday that the composer Woodkid was saying in an interview, and Jaffe, oh, you're going to love this about Kojima. Maybe you saw it, that apparently there were playtesting Death Stranding 2 and people were liking it too much. And Kojima was like, yeah, we got to change that. And his explanation was like, what was it, Chris? Like
it was something like if I think he wants people to not think they like something and come around to liking it, I think. And so like if it's
not challenging enough.
It's not challenging enough or whatever, yeah. Which is
not in difficulty, but in concept. Which I'm sure that sounds like the exact thing he said you don't like.
Well, it also sounds like the Joker and Joker 2 conversation we were having. It's like, you're not getting my thing. I have to make it intentionally fuck you because you're enjoying it too much. You thought you were enjoying it, but you enjoyed it for the wrong reasons. I don't know. I had not heard that, no. But, I mean, look, I think, here's what I'll tell you about Death Stranding. I have no doubt if I were to sit down and end on it, because people tell me it's like 50, 60 hours. And there's just so much shit I'm playing, and so much.
It's too long. Like damn near every fucking video game that comes out now, it's way too fucking long. But
what I played, which was only 3 hours, I really liked. So I have no doubt if I ever chose to make the time, I would probably walk away going, "Hey, that's one of my favorite Kojima games." I like the world. I like the performances. The cutscenes were really good. Like Metal Gear 4 cutscenes drove me crazy because it was just one shot of a guy sitting in front of a grave talking for, oh my God, let's go. Let's fucking end this fucking thing. But every cutscene I saw was genuinely a good little movie. So I don't have a beef with Death Stranding. I just can't see myself making the time to play it. But the second one looks amazing.
One other thing I wanted to note, my worry about Death Stranding 2. Because now this just happened post recording Sacred Symbols yesterday and recording today. I'm towards the later part of the game, and there are some things, I guess, dialogue that happen or that's said.
Wait, you're playing Death Stranding 2 already?
No, I'm playing 1.
I'm replaying 1. Okay.
Yeah. There are some things said that it feels like I'm worried that Kojima is surrounded by yes men. And some of these lines in this game feel
they're terrible.
Somebody should have spoke up. And I will share one of them and I will leave the context out. If you really, really care, skip ahead a little, like a minute. There's a line that is said by Sam where he says, so I'm Mario and you're Princess Peach. And then there's like a few other lines and he's like, oh, so we need to run down this beach. And the person responds, yeah. You're Mario and I'm Princess Peach.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the fuck wrote this? first of all, assuming it's Kojima. And why didn't anyone tell him this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life? Like, obviously, I said this on the top, not infallible. I don't think that everything he's done in every one of his games is amazing. There's a few moments in Death Stranding I'm like, someone should have spoke up. Someone should have said something, because this is lame. In fact, that whole sequence there's all these video game references and things said that I'm like, what are we doing here? And then there's a gameplay sequence. I don't know if you remember, Chris. I'm trying to be vague. That is so stupid. It's very short. It's like a gimmick in it. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why didn't someone say? And maybe the feeling in the room at Kojima Productions is like Jaffe was saying, where like people are like, we're here to execute your vision, and there's no questioning it. And honestly, for the most part, based on my overall thoughts on Death Stranding, probably right. But there's some times where I'm like, someone should have been like, yeah, maybe Kojima-san, maybe we don't make a Mario reference.
First, I'm surprised Sony Legal said yes. That's amazing to me. Given that the Astrobot guys couldn't even mention Mario exists in the acceptance speech, right? But that aside, to me, the weirder part about it though is he does that a lot of places, and instead of like, it's stupid, and I'm just going to fucking call it stupid. Having Sam Bridges sit there and have an AMC ad or whatever for the motorcycle show that the actor, or whatever his name is, Norman Reedus, does, playing on the pod, and people are like, isn't that self-referential and strange and meta? No, it's just stupid. It pulls you out of the experience unless you can tell me what that's a metaphor for in Death Stranding and say, oh, the capitalist nature brought us to, what, maybe it is. I haven't played it enough to have a sense of the subtext, but it would be like George Lucas, or it would be like Spielberg suddenly putting in Raiders of the Lost Ark, across the sky, there's an ad for Mountain Dew, and the characters go, what's that? And Indy goes, it's the future, kid. And people would rightly so go, I'm sorry, what? But with Kojima, it's like, what is he saying with his masterstroke of putting, Monster Power drinks in his game?
Oh, dude, the Monster Energy.
The Monster Energy was so ridiculous.
They took it out.
That. Yeah, they did. I hated that
to.
too, because I'm just like, but isn't it still an energy drink though?
It's like Bridges Energy, I think.
That is also crazy to me though, like, because that should just be water. Like, it's crazy to me that it's an energy, like that. I don't know, man. Yeah, there's I think it's kind of what's the expression? Greater than the sum of its parts, kind of thing.
Yeah, fair. I get that. I get that.
There's a lot of interesting ingredients of his things that come together to make something that's, I think, are generally very special and very clever and very interesting. But I think writing has always been, at least character, like dialogue. I don't think conceptually. I think conceptually his writing's really interesting and cool.
Agree.
But dialogue has always, in my opinion, been his short.
And editing, somebody to come in and say, do your codecs need to literally fucking be this fucking long, dude?
Yeah. And with respect, a lot of that dialogue, even in the early game, even in like something like Metal Gear, is a lot of it's elevated by the fact that the actors are just doing a great job with it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that Snake says would be really dumb if not for the fact that David Hayter sounds incredible when he's saying it, Yeah. And so, like, the unfortunate reality is that Norman Reedus is not that kind of person, nor he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in modern Kojima games are just people. And so they're not really character. They're not voice. They don't know how to sell certain lines of dialogue in the way that, like.
What about all of the semi-famous or famous people doing cameos in it, right? Like, I go and I haven't finished Death Stranding. So for all I know, the Monster Energy drink, the ad for the motorcycle show, having certainly Keeley, but didn't they have like Conan O'Brien and they had
Conan O'Brien's in it.
Right. Does that actually, are you able to step back and go, Jaffe, if you understood the subtext of Death Stranding, this makes all the sense in the world? Or does it appear like it does to me, which is like, this is jarring and he's getting a pass because who the fuck knows why.
I think it's not relevant to like it's definitely not like, it doesn't build on any of the themes of Death Stranding that it's Conan O'Brien that gives you the hat that lets you swim better. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't think that like adds anything. I think Death Stranding is very clearly a guy, or Kojima, I should say, is very clearly a guy who has made a name for himself, deserved or undeserved, whatever you want to feel about it.
I think deserved. I like Kojima,
and he's at this. I think this is him clearly at a point where it's just like, I'm just gonna. It kind of reminds me of Orson. There's a speech that Orson Welles gives about like, have you ever casted friends in a role at the expense of casting somebody who was right for the part? And he goes like, absolutely, and I would probably do it a million times because who cares?
Right. So
and I do feel like I do feel like that's part of it. I do feel like Kojima's so strange because I think the mythos that's built around him is like I think he lets it happen, but I also feel like I've said this before on the show, where Kojima is, I think what he does is really cool. I think what he does is really clever. I think he's a very unique guy. But I also feel like there are hundreds of other of him. There are hundreds of other Kojimas that do not have this opportunity, that have not had the, whatever the time and place kind of luck and whatever, or even just the wherewithal to even understand that this would be something that they're good at. Like, I often wonder about that.
Right. But that's almost any career, right? That's podcasting. Sure. I mean, whatever.
Of course. And so for me, I just look at it like, this dude is clearly, and I think we can all relate to this too, and being in this kind of space where we've met people that we've watched before or like looked up to before, or like maybe like have had mythologized to us in the past, and like, oh, that's just a fucking person. Mm-hmm. Like that's just that there's nothing mystical about this person at all. And that's kind of how I feel about Kojima, and like him throwing Conan O'Brien in a game is clearly not deep or meaningful.
Well, right. So it's not that I have a problem that he did it. It's that I have a problem that he doesn't get called out in the press for it, right? That his reviewers don't come at, it's one thing. And this is the thing, is like, even in the chat, I'm almost certain people in the comments are going to act like I'm a hater. And it's like, it's all or nothing. It's binary with so many people, certainly in the game space, including the journalist. I'm like, I'm sitting here telling you, I like a lot of what I played of Death Stranding. I like Kojima. He's in my top 10, blah, 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 blah. But I can also be critical. And it seems like a lot of the press is like, where are they going? This is stupid. The game's great. This is great. This is great. But can we step back and go, what the fuck is he doing? Because this doesn't make any sense. But they just don't. They just seem to almost be complicit in this building of these myths. And I take a real issue with it, I guess, clearly.
Yeah. I think in the case, when I think about like some of the stupid stuff, I guess, to put it, like the monster and stuff like that, Kojima games as a whole have always been campy. Like, there's weird stuff in them. And I think that, for me at least, I see situations where I'm like, that was campy and weird, and I loved it, right? Like Psycho Mantis saying, oh, you like Suikoden, stuff like that.
Right.
It takes you out, but I like it. It works.
Agree.
But I think it's risky, because there are times that I think that he is trying to hit that sweet spot of campiness level, but it does not work.
Right.
So I guess there are times where I'm like, I'm willing to for the monster energy parts that are stupid and don't work for me. There's also other parts that are like there's a character in the game that he like gives you a thumbs up, and it's like, oh, this person gave you likes to your standing, like your porter status, and every time it does this like, and it's kind of silly, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel natural if we're looking at this as like realistic, grounded situation. But it's silly in a way that works for me. So it's like, I guess I'm willing to take the parts that don't work for the parts that do.
What do you think the difference is between Kojima and someone like Wes Anderson, right? Because somebody could argue that there's a very similar thread, which is, you've seen one, you've seen them all. It's like you all the stuff you were describing, like you said, existed in Metal Gear 1. It exists in Death Stranding, right? You're going to get that kind of self-referential, a little campy here and there, still going to talk about deep subjects. Why does one of these auteurs stick for you and you're still very engaged? And is it just that that at least Kojima mechanically maybe is doing something different? Whereas the mechanical version in Wes Anderson film might be more of a narrative. Like if Anderson did his whole quirky shit, but it was an action film, maybe that would be more interesting to you.
I think the thing with Wes Anderson, and maybe this is just because it's film, is that I feel like I understand his style through and through. And it is predictable to a T that you could watch 10 seconds of a Wes Anderson movie and be like, oh, that's him. And whether you might love that style.
Yeah, I don't, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
With Kojima and like in particular Death Stranding, like at the very base level, like the story, the concept of the story is fucking insane. Like, oh, we have these guys that they have babies in pods that they hook up to get a better read on interdimensional dead people. Like, sorry, I've never heard of anything like that in my life. And so while there are those consistent through lines through his work, at least the overall experience, and to be fair, you could take like a clip of Death Stranding, maybe, I don't know, it's so situational, but it's like, yeah, I can tell it's Kojima. Yeah. But it still feels vastly different from Metal Gear, right?
Let me ask you this, because I don't really want to make the time to play Death Stranding that much, but the cutscenes I watched when I was playing it, I really liked. If you went out to the internet and just watched a cut of all the cutscenes, could you get the gist of the story, or do you need to play it, or it won't make any sense if you're just watching the cutscenes? Because I'm sure someone's just put the cutscenes up, right? Somewhere on YouTube. I do think what you're describing, like the baby thing and stuff, like I'm kind of aware of that, but yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah. I one time tried to explain Death Stranding to my mother-in-law for some reason, and I think she might have thought I was crazy.
That. Yeah.
It's one of those. But So could you just watch all the cutscenes and get the story? I probably, yeah, because he's so film influenced that most of the main story beats do happen out of gameplay. I mean, there's stuff that like happens in gameplay that is story based, but it's always usually sandwiched between two cutscenes, right? So
you can usually find too, like there are people who edit in a very specific way where they'll give you all the cutscenes, and then if anything like story specific happens during gameplay, they'll include that in their cutscene movie, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I've definitely seen games do that, or like people do that with certain games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to look, because sometimes people will call it like it would be called Death Stranding the movie.
I see Death Stranding director's cut, all cutscenes, full game movie,
full game movie.
Yeah, full game movie is usually the tag for it.
Man, 11 hours.
11 hours.
That probably could be cut down. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's 11.
That's probably there's definitely gameplay segments in that one.
Okay, I'll check it out. Because I do love what you're saying. I mean, that sounds like a really cool story. And what I experienced was a really cool story. So that's the hard part. Nuance is tough on the internet. People don't want you got to be all in or not. But look, man, I'm excited for what it sounds like is going to be Sony going, okay, pal, we gave you the money for the most expensive art game in the world and the sequel. And now make us a fucking Metal Gear game, which is this spy thing, right? That he's supposed to be working on. And I'm like, oh, thank God, because I really, really, really want to play an action Kojima game, but yeah, me too. I'm let's just say this. I'm glad he's out there. I'm glad there are people like him out there that can still merit this budget and this kind of batshit crazy stuff. I love that. But I will still probably be playing the actual auteurs on the indie side, just because it's pure. It's pure, baby. It's right into the vein. But have you guys met him? What do you think of him personally?
Oh, I've not met him. I have seen him in person a few different times, but he is the first time I saw him was at PSX, and he had literally a circle of security guards around him. It was, it was like the president was there.
So Gross. I'm sorry. I hate it, you guys. I hate it.
Jaffe, the first time I saw you was at PSX.
And it wasn't with the goddamn security phalanx around me. It was probably Shannon trying to go, dude, please don't smoke that.
Oh, no, it was when you were with Colin on stage.
Oh, yeah, on the stage, yeah.
And you shit on Kyle Bossman.
Yeah, I did. Well, because he had shit on me, but I took it back. I took it back. But look, I will say this though, and again, I don't mean this like I come from a privileged position, but I do have a very unique position where I've been in it. I've been one of the guys that was, certainly not at the level of talent, success, or adulation of Kojima, but I was one of the most well-known guys in the American scene for a while. I get what that was. And I will tell you that, yeah, I do look back now and I just have a real bee in my bonnet, which I recognize about the lack of genuine communication with the fans. The two things you mentioned, like the Raising Kratos documentary, there was one shot in that was real to me, which was when Corey's sitting in his car and he's talking to his camera about the playtest they're about to go into. And he's terrified because he's like, if this doesn't work, we're fucked. That was real. At least I could recognize it as real. But then I go back to the Last of Us documentary or the Last of Us 2. And I wish we had an audience that was a little bit more educated in this stuff. Neil Druckmann in that documentary is sitting there in front of the audience talking about what's going to happen to Joel in the game. And there's the music playing and all this stuff. And then it cuts to somebody in the audience who responds in a negative way, basically something like, oh my God, I cannot believe we're going to do that, right? Now I want you to ask yourself this question. You're telling me that exact meeting was documented and they had a camera, not just on Neil Druckmann saying what he was saying, but they just so happened to have a camera on the one person in the audience that made that reaction? Or what do you think really happened? Do you think they filmed that and then they found somebody in the audience and they said, oh, we can do that reaction, right? And then they cut it together. It's just shit like that bothers me.
That's because it's filmic. They're making a movie,
It's a documentary though. It presents as a behind the scenes slice of right. That's my problem. Not if you're making a movie, go for it.
No, I agree. Yeah. I think I do like I really do feel like. And by the way, when I say, I'm sure some people in the audience are going to be confused because there's a documentary about Halo 2 that they put out for like the anniversary. That's not the one.
Oh no, I know the one you're talking about, like the lead up to
there's one that's like I think it's coupled in with like a certain edition of the game, which is crazy to me that you would put that video in like to sell with your game. But it is like it has a lot of real. There's a lot of real. Like I remember there's a shot of like I think it's Joseph Staten just at his desk, like, and it looks like he's on fentanyl, basically. Like he's like he's just fucking defeated, and he's like it's like dark and dingy, and I highly recommend everybody watch that because it is so it's the only real documentary I've ever seen about like video games and like as far as like what it's like to make them. Because there was that one that came out I think in the early 2010s, indie game The Movie, that was was kind of it had it had a little bit of that, but it also had a little bit of the elements that you're talking about that you don't like.
Right. And again, I get it. It's like maybe people are like, can we just have nice things, Jaffe? It's like, yeah, you can as long as you know it's bullshit. My problem is not that people want to just live in a fantasy world sometimes because life is hard. Let us have our heroes. I get it. But a lot of people aren't aware that it's manipulative, whatever. I'm tired.
Yeah. Jaffe, have you heard of the shows on Showtime, I think last year, called The Curse?
No.
It's with Nathan Fielder, and it's about two people that are filming an HGTV show. Okay. So it's I'm curious what you think about it. It's a lot about like the fakeness of recording like what is supposed to be, and not documentary, but in this case it's supposed to be like real life and how fucking fake they make it and things like that. Really interesting.
Oh, show. I can see. I can watch it on. I think YouTube. I think
it's on Paramount.
Oh, Emma Stone's in it. Okay,
Emma Stone is in it.
All right,
looking fine.
Yeah, I will. Oh, it's on Premium on Hulu. Okay, I'll give it a watch. That sounds real interesting.
I think it's an not to get into it too much, but I think you'll at least find if you watch the beginning, the first scene of the show is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, that's one of the reasons I tell Colin this too. I don't mean to really pick on Kind of Funny. I know it's kind of a fun thing to do, and you guys sometimes get all, and that's fun for me to push those buttons. But, it's one of the things I think, not the only reason and not the main reason, but that you guys have found the success you have, is that you're not in a studio. You don't have a fog machine. You don't have you don't have a multi-camera. There's nothing about it that is artifice. It's you in your room at home connecting with your audience. And I find that such a valuable commodity these days that I think I'm very protective of it, and I'm very defensive when I see the opposite. But I get it. I mean, people, it's fun to be a fan, right? I get it. Nobody likes holes poked in that shit, but I don't know how healthy it is. So I guess I'm going to be that agent of chaos that you hate having to deal with. And I'm sorry, because I get it. It's nice to believe in fairy tales. It really is. It really is. I get it. They're just not real. And that sucks.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end it on. It sucks.
Are you satisfied?
Oh, I am so satisfied that Dagan at the hospital with the machine just came.
We should call. Hey, listen. Let me just tell you something. Go watch the goddamn Final Destination Bloodlines. Speaking of hospitals and machines at hospitals, if you like horror and you like gore, and it's also just a really good movie, I really want people to watch that movie. It's so delightful. It just came out on streaming, and I'm not a big Final Destination guy. I've only seen like two of them. Well, it's everything. You have to rent it for $20 right now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I'm not a big oh my God, I love all of them. I've watched two of them and I really liked them and I forgot all about them. So it's not like I'm here shilling for that because I love the franchise. It's just a really good, fun horror movie. So.
Is that probably the most impactful horror movie ever made? Probably Final Destination.
I think in some ways, yes. In some ways.
I swear to God, I have not sat down to watch a single Final Destination movie 100% all the way through in my entire life.
Yeah.
But I think about every time I drive my car, I think about Final Destination. Every time I every time I cross the street, I think about Final Destination. I think
it is the absolute best horror movie in the sense that it could happen to everyone and it happens to everyone every day. So it makes it genuinely scary.
Right.
But it's also the worst franchise ever because you can't monetize an invisible protagonist to the point that the only thing that they've really been able to glom onto is the log truck where the logs come out on the freeway.
Yeah, I think the scene. That's the scene.
Right. So they had a great ad campaign in LA going around with a truck with a tarp over it that was photorealistic of logs. And so, it wasn't real, but it looked like you were behind the log truck from Final Destination 2 because there's no characters, there's no slasher, there's nothing to really brand it. But it's effective though. I get on a plane. Every time I get on a plane, I take the tray table and make sure that the little arm that holds it up doesn't come down. Because in the first movie, that's what he knew. Oh shit, this plane's going to blow up. Yeah. And so he got off. So if I ever get on a plane and that thing came down, I'd be off that fucking plane in a fucking heartbeat. It
would be wise.
Let's go ahead and say goodbye to everybody. Chris, nice to see you once again. I hope to not see you again until next week.
Yeah, give it a little bit of time. Jeez. But it's nice to be here. I'm so hungry though, man. That coffee.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll do it.
I am fiending for something.
Yeah. Jaffe, so great to talk to you. It's been, like I said earlier, it's been a while, so it was nice to catch up. And I love having conversations with you because you're not we can have a good nuanced conversation, as you were saying, about something we disagree with, and that's feels rare sometimes.
Yeah, no,
so thank you for bringing that energy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me and my friend, Zelda. Here's Zelda.
Oh, hey, Zelda.
Zelda. No, I appreciate always being here. Thanks for inviting me. And watch Madhouse on my channel, 6:30 every night, Monday through Friday. It's fun. It's weird. It's different. And hopefully I'll see you live. But in the meantime, thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back soon next week for all of our various shows. And we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.